Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm Jacob Silverblade, and today we've got a tier list video. Not only that, I'm joined by the Ecclesiarch. How are you doing, Ecclesiarch?
I am doing quite well, my friend. Thank you for having me on board, and I'm excited to dive into this tier list with you.
Awesome stuff. So, to go through the tier list, this is a Warlord tier list. We're going through all the Warlords in the game as it stands right now with Warpforge, and we're going to be ranking them. S is the best tier, D is the worst tier. We have felt no need to put in an S plus tier or Z tier. S plus would be something which is giga broken, which would the entire meta would have to shape around. We don't feel like there's a Warlord in the game which does that. And same again, Z tier is a Warlord which is completely unplayable. Same again, we don't feel like there's a Warlord in the game which is that bad either. But we're going to rank all of them and see what our thoughts on them. But first quick thing, Ecclesiarch. My opinion is that this season in Warpforge has been one of the best seasons, just competitively, there has been pretty much ever. What's your take on that?
I would say that it has been a pretty good season, mostly because I have been able to play a variety of decks. I just wish that I could have played a little bit more, but it was a pretty difficult week. Plus, I have to admit that I've been painting some minis, so I haven't been playing that much. So overall, but I agree, it has been, from my point of view, at least one of the best. Mostly because I don't think there's anything currently in the game that's bullying and everything else to a point where you just can't play against it. There are, of course, some things that really do come out on top, but that's natural. But I don't think there's like anything extremely toxic right now, let's put it like that, that it just makes you want to skip the season.
No, there's no Mortarian level of toxic yet, so
Oh yeah,
we're fine. We're fine.
we're absolutely fine on that regard.
Yeah,
Wait till
yeah.
they add the death card. So yeah.
Oh yeah, we'll have to wait on that. Oh dear. Anyway, yeah, I completely, from my perspective, I completely agree as well. I think this has been one of the best seasons, and this is definitely coming from a biased perspective of playing Ultramarines, and I won't lie, Ultramarines are doing a bit better than the rest, so you could call me biased, but in my opinion, this has been one of the best seasons. I reckon every single faction has at least one viable Warlord, if not multiple, to play at a competitive level, and I think that overall it's been in a pretty good dance spot. Same like you, Ecclesiarch. I've been busy with just things, right? Just doing all sorts of stuff. I know that Aqua has, shout out to him, he has been playing so much for this game recently, doing videos that feels like every single other day, which is awesome. But right now, on my perspective, bit busy doing all sorts and just things here and there. But with that being said, I think we should first start off with the Ultramarines, because they're first on the list. And we'll start with Uriel Ventress. Now, I personally feel like, I won't lie, he is certainly at least A tier, or S tier, and I'm thinking S tier. What do you think, Ecclesiarch?
Oh, absolutely S tier from my point of view. If I were to decide what are like some of the strongest warlords in the game, he would definitely have one spot in there for sure. Mostly because like his ability that he has is very flexible for one energy. Ultramarines with their changes have been able to play aggro again, and Uriel Ventress in general is a very good aggro warlord. If you remember that time when he had the extra card, he was also a little bit powerful, not a little bit, but quite a bit actually. So every time Ventress gets a little bit of a buff, it usually puts him in a very good spot. Every time he gets nerfed, he drops into a very unplayable tier. But right now, I think he's just pretty damn good. He feels good. He's good against Sisters. He's good against Necrons because of the Remnant Destruction. He's good against
Good against
all sorts of
Eldar as
stuff,
well.
basically.
Yeah,
Absolutely, because got a lot of AoE.
well, yeah, but Eldar, because of their like to generate stones in particular, so it's useful against that. Also against GSC if they ever decide to play ambush as well. Just useful, just removing the ambush and deciding what you want to do from there. To add on to that, part of the reason is that you got cards like Devastator Doctrine, Death from Above, and then Assault Doctrine as well. which are all codex-based abilities, and that one energy just able to fix sort of like your curve so that you can use the codex ability just like a turn ahead or whatever it is, and then just enabling that means that you can just get that extra advantage where other warlords can struggle to get value whilst also being able to enable those codex-based effects. So that's like one of the main things he does, which adds to it. And yeah, I think S tier is absolutely right. No complaints on that. And we'll move.
He's making the fourth company proud. So,
oh yeah,
yes.
Absolutely. And we'll move on to Varo Tigurius, and I think we can also both agree that he is S tier. What do you think?
I absolutely agree with you. I think that they're somewhat equal, but there are edges that both of them have over each other. Varo Tigurius has to be played with a very specific, a bit abusive deck, which includes very few tactics and mostly comboing for an insane amount of value together with the legendary card, Teleon. I think that the edge that Ventress has over Varo is that he doesn't need to combo stuff. He's in general very flexible and good, while Varo does still need to control what he has in hand and what he can combo with, because even with his consistency, sometimes he might get a kind of a bad draw and he cannot combo, in which case he has to say no to a lot of good ultramarine tactics, which might put him off a little bit, but still S tier.
Yeah, that's what I've found to be a problem, is they can be sometimes just a bit inconsistent. Sometimes he can absolutely blow the opponent out of the water and just ultimately dominate the game, and then just be like, sometimes it can be just the opponent literally can't do anything about it. But then other times it can be just, this guy just seems a bit almost average, dare I say, because he can have that bad of a starting hand. That you can't get the codex going. When he does the draw, he doesn't get Avenging Steel straight away. He gets, 2 tactical insights first and doesn't have Avenging Zeal in hand, but opponent's putting down so much pressure that you have to use a tactical insight early enough, which then stops the whole sort of like chain/combo going. So I actually think, weirdly enough, Varo Tigurius versus Uriel Ventress, I reckon in that matchup has the advantage, because he's putting on that pressure against Varo Tigurius, where Varo Tigurius, yes, he can blow Uriel Ventress out of the water if he gets Avenging Zeal, like first card sort of thing. He gets Talion right, he does the whole combo thing, and it ends up being really scary. But if he doesn't get that specifically, I think Varo Tigurius is just behind.
Yeah, I think you're on point with that. I absolutely agree. Both are S tier, but I'd say Uriel might actually have a bit of an advantage currently.
In that specific, I would say certainly in that specific matchup. In the field in general, for example, like Varo Tigurius is very good versus this guy, Imhotep, which we're going to be plating, I reckon, quite highly. Just a bit of a sneak peek. But we'll get back to him later on. But there's other things where Varo Tigurius actually has the advantage against, where Uriel Ventress doesn't. So it's a bit of a... I completely don't mind doing this. Do you got any personal takes on this? Which one's better?
I would still put Uriel because of 2 reasons, actually. Because Uriel A is easier to play, and but you might seem like, how does that tier, right? Well, the thing is, Uriel's games will also be finished quicker. And let's be honest, the quicker you can finish games, the more ranked games you can play, which means the faster you can climb. The exact reason why HHL, in HHL in the past, like Angron used to be so good to climb with, I mean, before the rework, because you could play like 10 games of Angron before you finished 3 games of Magnus. So even if your Magnus win rate was high, Angron was getting more points, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I
average,
think in terms of that, like... considering that not everybody can play a gazillion games per turn, having a Warlord that finishes the games faster, an aggro one, can have a slight advantage in that sense, in my opinion.
Yeah. And with Varo Tigurius also, I'd say to that is that even the best players make a mistake from time to time. And it's easier to make that mistake with Varo Tigurius being more complex than it is to make that mistake with Yuri or Ventress, in my opinion. So, moving on.
Yeah.
I think we'll go to Lieutenant Titus. Now,
Ooh.
and I put him in B tier for now. I'm thinking he's somewhere in A tier. But what do you think?
Titus, I think, is a very good warlord right now. I kind of suck at playing Titus. I don't know why. Maybe because I haven't really given too much time into playing him as much as I've played him in Space Marine. But he has a very good ability. He can out-trade almost anybody. I think the only warlord that trades equally with him is Lucius at this point. I think so.
It's quite a strange one. I've done the maths on it. He outtrades Lucius by 1 HP. If you both constantly use your ability all the time. If you've got, because if Lucius has to attack into free attack Titus, but then you range attack in back, if you constantly use your ability, Titus outtrades everybody in the game except, strangely enough, one warlord. Guess which warlord that is?
So there's maybe it's Mozrog maybe?
No, it's actually a really strange one. I'll have to go down.
Ramatek?
No, it is. Well, actually, Ramatek might do it, but strangely enough, it's Aveline.
Oh, she can do that, yeah.
Yes.
When we get to Aveline, I'm going to talk a little bit about that one, because that's one of my favorite warlords, actually. Yeah, you're right.
Strangely enough, because of that shield effect, just reducing any damage she takes back when she attacks to 0, and she actually gets that extra attack during the opponent's turn. So, strangely enough, it's the only one which actually outtrades Titus, which is really strange. But
yeah, so he can outtrade everybody. He's got an inbuilt AoE, which is great, which also still gives him 3 attack during that. He's very flexible. He's very good at dealing with a lot of things in the game. And one of the cards that is hated by the community right now, I think Assault Doctrine also is perfect on him. So I think he is good. If you play him well, he should be A tier, I think.
I also agree with that. I think he should also be A tier. I've had plenty of success with him. He's quite a good pick against Vara Tigurius. If Vara Tigurius, sorry, correction, Yuri or Ventress. Yuri or Ventress trying to provide that beat down, and then Titus can just go, nope, I'm gonna just live. Because he can do that. He's one of the best, like, sort of anti-aggro warlords, and just removing particularly and one of the best options for anti-stealth in the game for Ultramarines. With that blast ability, he can take out with Devastator Doctrine a 5 HP stealth unit. So out of all the warlords, I reckon he's just the best warlord at just dealing with threats, and that allows him to play that gym boss strategy really, really well. One of them being Assault Doctrine, and I would agree with the community there. It does need some kind of nerf. I'm thinking one less melee attack. I reckon just give it +3, and I reckon that would be a perfectly fine card.
Yeah, and I think that the reason why he goes kind of into A tier is that he has a notable weakness as well. By having to use your ability every turn, you're not developing the board much, and that really does allow the opponent to develop the board unless you're really able to take him out with his ability, and he might actually end up letting the opponent get a little bit out of control, which can really work. And if you're facing something like something that can really hard counter you or lock you up, like Jazar or Erica.
Erica being the main one.
Yeah, you're just gonna lose.
You just get stun locked by Erica if she's able to get that faith early enough. Like, I've had games where I've got Erica. I was playing Titus, and I've got Erica down to like literally 4 HP. But then she unlocks a stun ability, and then it's just game over. Literally, I couldn't win that game because she had the stun lock at that point in time, and I just had no way of ending it there, which was crazy. And it has happened a couple of times, something like that. I just tried to put as much aggro pressure as I could with Titus. Just if you don't get her before the 7 faith, you're done. So we'll rate Erica later on. But yeah, Titus can suffer from particularly problems from stealth stun warlords.
Absolutely.
Now we'll go on to Marnius Calgar. I will put Marnius Calgar in B tier. But I want to know, like, I haven't actually played much of Marnius Calgar recently. certainly compared to the other Ultramarine Warlords on the list so far. Where do you rate him? Is he B tier? Is he C tier? Or is he A tier? What do you reckon?
So it's a hard one. I think it's either a B or an A. I'll tell you, I played quite a few Calgar games. As soon as the Ultramarines were buffed, I started playing Calgar. And the deck that I was using with Calgar was actually the classic Ultramarine aggro from preseason. You might remember.
Oh yes, I remember. I remember you seeing that YouTube video. You did.
Yeah,
Yes.
I just copy pasted the deck, and honestly speaking, it worked quite well because it's literally the same thing right now. The only difference being a lot of factions currently have developed. It's not that easy to do that anymore, and well, some things, of course, still remain nerfed. But I think he's quite good. I think that he can be a very reliable aggro warlord that I consider is really good. However, I think that he cannot be rated as good as Titus, because Titus has just so many good answers to a lot of threats that can be popping up currently, namely Tyranids and Eldar and other stuff. And I think Calgar can suffer hard into certain matchups that I'm going to mention when we get to those certain warlords, but I think he's good. He's a solid Ultramarine warlord that you can really play and do good with. I just think that he's maybe not exactly A tier, but certainly not C tier. I'd say somewhere like a good B tier.
I think that's fair, yeah. Something like if Titus was like mid A tier, Calguy's like top of B or maybe bottom of A, something like that.
Exactly.
So I think that is I would agree with that. The only thing I would say is, what do you think of the take on him being more of a control / mid-range warlord, where you got, you know, quite a few 5 drops, quite a few 7 drops, that sort of thing? What do you think? Because I reckon he's probably the best at that, but do you think that is a more viable style for him in particular?
I think that that is a more enjoyable style. I'll say that. First of all, I just think, like, you know, with the tanks and stuff like that,
100%.
really, really, really good. Just the thing is that I think it's kind of a thing that EG games usually suffer from. That being that aggro is usually just the way to go. So
Yeah.
I think that's exactly what puts him in B and not A. If the control variant was more viable, he would go for A. But I think currently the best Ultramarine decks are either going from Assault Doctrine or just aggro / combo.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that. It's a bit of a shame, but I think, weirdly enough, I think the weakest spot for Ultramarines is probably the 5 energy drop section. I'm not saying we have bad 5 energy drops. We do, but we're not saying I don't think we do have good 5 energy drops. I'm not saying we don't have anything which is good, but I think that's where we struggle, if anywhere, as an energy section. And lost my words now. That's quite a crucial point for trying to get into that, to enable you to get into that sort of control sort of archetype, where you get eventually into a sort of 8 energy drops, maybe even 9 energy drops if you're lucky, right? Or if you've got a really good 10 energy drop, right? Like Repulsor, Executioner is, you know, it's actually a pretty good 10 energy drop. Does 8 damage to a target. You get a big body, it's got blast 5. It kind of does the whole thing. It's all about getting there, isn't it? And still being able to be living for long enough to be able to play it. So unfortunately, yeah, it's probably not the way to go. Now we got Chaplain Lavaris. We'll put him B tier for now. Where do you reckon he belongs?
I would only be guessing, honestly, because he's not the warlord I've been playing often, even though I adore his voice acting. I think that's your boy. You're the one known for Chaplain, so you tell me.
Yeah, I mean,
Tough one, am I right?
does he belong there?
I mean,
I think
kind of
he's-
has a similar thing to Calgar, right?
Yeah, but he has card draw. He has card draw on a stick. He doesn't have the HP. He's got the life regen though. To be honest with you, painfully so. It's probably like the same similar boat as Calgar, just not quite as good even. So I think where Calgar is high B, low A, Lavaris is probably maybe mid B, something like that. He just struggles with the whole he's essentially Calgar with less HP almost, which is not a great position to be in. Well, it's not bad actually, but so that's probably his best style. Whereas, you know, things where I used to do troop board spam in the past, where I was able to buff the board, ultimately I don't think that is the most viable style for Lavaris, and it probably is like a mid B also. So it's probably, you're probably best off going for the aggro style, and if you're going better, if that's the best option, you know, unfortunately there's just better Ultramarine Warlords to do that with. Calgar by next HP, Titus getting a continuous sustain, and Uriel just being at the best at aggro because that's what his ability does. So he probably does belong, unfortunately, in B tier. The only thing, sorry, the only thing I would say on that is that there is a deck which I have made. I need to do sort of, because I've made it, tested against bots, found out it works against a bot, and I need to actually bring it onto ladder at some point and actually test it. And if I find it to be actually really, really good, I'll do a video on it, and that might change this tier list ranking. So I guess stay tuned for that potentially in a week in the future or something like that, because I will test it. But unless that deck pops off and actually does, it's for people nobody will know. So it's kind of like Vara Tergiris, where he puts in very little stratagems into his deck. What you're doing with Chaplain of Varus in this case is actually you're putting in very little troops in your deck, and then you're sort of trying to take Talion with a couple 1-drops, and you go Left-Hand Titus, and it might be better. It might be like, I'm not saying it goes to here. I would only imagine it would at best to go to an A tier. But it might be the way to play it, actually Chaplain of Varus now, where you utilize that actually fetching troops out instead for a sort of combo finish on a particularly 11 energy. But most of the time you do on 11 energy. But yes, for now I'm putting in B tier because that is ultimately at the end of the day untested, and it could be just even worse than just going generic Ultramarines. So it's a bit of a shame. I really like that Warlord, and I really he was at the best at some point for the Ultramarines, when Ultramarines were struggling a little bit. But hey ho, we can't complain. We've got 2 S tier Warlords, you know, it's not the end of the world.
I mean, overall, it's a good package. Look at that, 2S, 1A, 2B. That's perfect, I even say.
Yeah. Well, I think having 2S is probably actually a bit much. I would, you know, I'd argue, you know, like 2A, 1S, 2A, 2B, and I think that's perfectly fine. But we'll move on. We'll go into Eldar, and starting off with Ecclesiarch Zephyrblade. Now, I don't have much experience using Ecclesiarch Zephyrblade. What's your personal take on this?
Oh, so I think he's a little bit underrated by a lot of people, because Iliac wasn't really played when he came out, if you remember. Yeah. And you know, only after some time and a few changes did people start playing him. And a lot of, even though like I'm not the best Eldar player, I'll definitely say that, I've played him quite a bit, but I've also, apart from my own opinion, which I'll say in a moment, I've seen a lot of good Eldar players mention that he's quite good on aggro, and he's just really good if you want to play aggro. And I agree, because first of all, he's got 40 HP, and 40 HP is not something to just ignore. It's a big deal. I think that's one of the things that make Calgar BB and not C, because you're very durable, and his ability is quite strong because he can like punch you for a lot of damage every single turn. Every unit you live alive for him, which is going to happen often because he's got stealth, he's going to make you regret it. I'd actually say that maybe Eliak is an A-tier Eldar Warlord. I might say he's an A-tier Warlord. Yeah, Ooh. He's pretty good. Okay. Or maybe at least top of B tier.
Maybe top of B, right? Yeah, we'll put it ahead of Calgar.
Yeah, because
we'll put
they're
it in A
quite
tier.
strong.
Do you know what? We'll put it in A tier for now, and then we'll see how A tier is looking. Or decide later if it goes to the top of B. But I think even though I haven't played Iliac myself, I have found that against good players who use Iliac, it is very scary, and it always surprises me every single time, because I just don't think innately that surely Iliac isn't. It's got bad hero power, or it has his 40 HP. No, that's not the case. The hero power is quite good, actually.
Yeah, he's like a warlord that on paper doesn't seem that dangerous, but he is.
Absolutely, yeah. Now, when I get into the new model, unfortunately, Everguild has... Everguild? Yeah, Everguild, because they're the people who make Warpforge, don't they?
Mm-hmm. That's
yeah,
Everguild.
Yeah, that's Everguild. Cool, awesome. Unfortunately, they haven't released the actual card on their website showing the new expansion yet, unfortunately, but we've got the model here. So this is it. This is not Iliac. What's the new warlord name?
Lycus, I believe.
Lycus, yes.
Or Lycus.
It's Eldar names. It can be pronounced. Everything in Warhammer 40k can be pronounced differently. You got like Tyranids, Tyranids. You got Abaddon, and then Lycus, and then you said Lycus.
Gilliman, Gwilliman, Gorilla Man, whatever you want.
Gorilla Man. Sorry, they got me there. Anyway, yeah, so I've always pronounced it as Lycus, but I'm not gonna say anything really, because it can be all pronounced all sorts of different ways. How do you think the new Warlord's stacking up?
May I first say that she's so awesome in terms of animations. It's like not even, I don't know,
Yeah, you're
so
absolutely right. Like, just...
And the art, so good.
Oh yeah, this is brilliant. This is why I wanted to get the thingy up, but unfortunately it's not there. But yeah, like just the first time I saw that, I just saw her teleporting using when she used her ability. I just saw her teleporting. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
But anyway,
I got a very weird feeling about this warlord, and I'm gonna say it. I've played a lot of games with her.
Yep.
And I had a huge win streak, like really, really good.
Yep.
Most of it, I think it was in my video. And I didn't even have any of the new cards. Well, almost any of the new cards.
Yes.
But you know what was the thing? I even mentioned that, and one of the players that's a really good Eldar player, I believe it's Lust. So shout out to him.
Oh, yep.
He kind of agreed on what I said, I think. And I said that the only reason I was kind of stomping with this warlord was mostly because Eldar are really just good at stomping your face with aggro, and any other warlord like Iliac or Jazar would have just done better at that. So she's like good, pretty good for sure, but it's only because she just goes with the whole Eldar thing, just punches your face, does damage, finishes you off with Wailing Doom, right?
Yeah.
So she doesn't really do anything different. It does have an interesting ability to like stealth some stuff, and her ability to be stealth on turn 1 is also kind of useful against aggro. But again, what I feel with her is that she's just not special enough to have her own specific build. I might be wrong, by the way, because it's still new and people still maybe haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah, I think unfortunately you're right. I think her main thing she does is spend 2 energy to deal 2 damage. And you're able to spend 2 energy to deal 2 damage every single turn directly to face.
Yeah, pretty much just doing your aggro. But I think overall it's good, but mostly it's good because Eldar are okay always. I like Eldar, even though this has been a faction that hasn't received a lot of love. This was a very welcome addition, by the way, to get second reinforcements. Eldar have always been in that okay spot where they're not trash because their kit is just aggro.
Yeah, they've always been in a spot where they've never been bad. They've never
like
been
crazy.
bad, have they? They've pretty much like there have been times, I think particularly against Dark Angels with all the armor going about, because Eldar do struggle against armor. That's when Dark Angels were good. That's when Eldar were particularly suffering. But apart from them, I can't really remember a time when Eldar have been like noticeably bad as a faction. Yes, I think I agree with you as a whole. I haven't played much with Lycus that much really, but she supports the aggro game save style. She doesn't do anything particularly unique, which is kind of boring, but I think she does just solid aggro sort of stuff. I think she actually, personally, I would argue that she is the most aggro warlord of 4D Eldar, just because 2 energy deal 2 damage is better than Zephyr Blade's 1 energy to do 1 damage. Unless you get like another unit, then you get to do more, right? But in principle, it feels like she is the most aggro capability, because she can also, unlike Jane Zar, where she can spend 2 energy to deal 2 additional damage, she can assign the damage more precisely than Jane Zar, whereas Jane Zar might have to use it to kill a troop and then won't able to do damage to face. Lycus can just kill the troop with the ability and then able to punch face, for example. So I think she is the most aggro warlord, funnily enough. And unfortunately, what I feel like the devs were trying to do with her was to make her more of a stealth, so put things back into stealth and made this whole sort of stealth archetype. And I hate to say this, I reckon she's just best played as a more just punch opponent in the face.
Yeah, typical Eldar moment.
Yeah.
I'd say I'd put her higher than Kalgar, but B.
But B. You reckon? Okay.
Yeah, still I'd say. I don't know. I really don't know, because it feels like it's the faction, not the Warlord. That's the issue that I have with this one. Like, it feels like it's just, I got the Howling Banshee, I got like the Exarch, I got my Wailing Doom, I'm just gonna throw that at you. But it doesn't matter if I'm playing Lycus, because I could still play Iliac and do it a little bit better because I don't die as easily, and as soon as like something stays on the board, I can deal more damage. So it's kind of a thing.
Well, if you put it like that, if it's just the base power of the faction, then I guess if the base power faction is B tier, then I guess she just belongs in B tier, and she doesn't even belong at the top of B tier. She actually belongs at the middle sort of B tier. But if that's, I would argue that actually about just able to spend 2 energy to deal 2 damage is just a really good hero power, and nobody else has that hero power in the game. Surprisingly enough, people have many abilities to gain additional 2 attack on a Warlord, for example, but they don't actually just straight up have 2 energy, deal 2 damage where I want it, sort of thing. And I would argue that actually pushes her up, but it is a bit of a shame because it's not the most creative thing in the world, is it? It's not like the most creative Warlord. It's in a sense, it's just good old reliable. Kind of feels like Zephyr Blade. So I even though I haven't played with her, dare I say that she might belong in A tier, but
I don't know. Might actually. I'm just not sure. Honestly,
I think I need to go along and play 20 games with her and then come to a conclusion. But for now, I think the safe bet is to put it somewhere in B tier. So we'll do this actually. I feel like that's just a safe bet. And if she belongs higher, I'll probably post a comment underneath and I'll say if she's S tier or something. And I had no idea this entire time, but I do somewhat doubt that she's going to be S tier.
Well, guys, maybe those of you who are watching us, leave a comment and tell us what you think about this.
Oh yes, absolutely. Leave a comment. Now we're going to Jane Zar.
Ooh.
Where does Jane Zar belong in this?
Oh, she's annoying as hell, as she's always been.
Yep.
The stun is just obnoxious, She can stun lock you. She can she's like terrifying, honestly, because whether she stuns a Warlord or a troop, she's getting a lot of value out of it. She has stronger Howling Banshees because now an already S tier 4-cost unit, Howling Banshee is one of the best units in the game, now also gets a ping. And she does 4 damage with the Scream. She does, if she drops the Huntress, it's a ton of damage. Overall, I think that's a very powerful Eldar Warlord, possibly maybe their trying for their best, maybe. So she does have a notable weakness though, which is I think the same as Titus, which is that she has to keep using her ability constantly.
She does,
And
yeah.
also she struggles against from my experience against stuff like Astra Militarum, because the guard just throw a ton of bodies at her, and she, as you said, she doesn't have a face pink. She has ability to just gain damage on the Warlord itself. So based on the matchup, she can struggle a little bit, but I think she's very strong. Every time I face her, I feel unease. I just never feel comfortable fighting that Warlord. So I think it's pretty powerful.
Nah, yeah, I completely agree. I think the Eldar against armor problem, like particularly Ashmetalum with all their big tanks with armor on them, I think that's just an Eldar problem, if I had to be honest. But it might be even more of a problem for Jane Zar. But I think that stun ability just kind of means that if she gets the right stun in the right place, she's always in it in a game. For example, if you go in Swarmlord and the entire board is stealth, or if you've got like one big stealth powerful unit, she can always just randomly stun that unit, and then it's like, oh, well, the unit's stunned. I can't use my big powerful unit to punch you in the face and win the game. So she's always got that like sort of potential, dare I say, to just sort of like snatch, just do a quick backstab and win the game sort of like that way. So it's always puts you on edge. It's funny that you mentioned Titus, because actually I really like playing Titus versus Jane Zar, because it ends up in a really weird game where, because Jane Zar typically goes for aggro, but Titus is really good against aggro, he ends up outliving Jane Zar and able to out-sustain him, but then Titus doesn't like getting stunned all the time in the face, so it ends up being this really weird game where Jane Zar is trying to like hit Titus in the face, but Titus is not dying, but then Titus can't punch her back.
It's a crazy game.
It is. I've always found that very interesting, and I've played on both sides of that, by the way, where I've played Jane Zar and Titus, and because I play both of these warlords quite often. I've put Jane Zar in A tier. Do you reckon it's A tier, or do you reckon potentially B?
I'd say A. I can't see her as B. She's just still pretty good. It's always hard to play against her. She's good in terms of aggro, and like if she's playing against like something that she doesn't need to stun lock, she can always just punch you for 4. So
I'd
say it's pretty good.
Yeah. Ahead of Ecclesiarch or behind?
I don't know. I can't say, really. I really can't say.
I'm gonna put it ahead of Ecclesiarch for now. But that might be personal bias, in all honesty. I play Jane Zar. I do not play Ecclesiarch's Everblade. Despite having blade in its name. I mostly have played Jane Zar, so it's another warlord that I might just need to test out as the Ecclesiarch's Everblade and then come to the conclusion on that. But I'm gonna put Jane Zar ahead. Now we've got Anvir Keltok. This is a very interesting one. What do you think?
I think he actually got better. I played a few of Anvir Keltok games. He's my favorite Eldar Warlord, and I think he's got a lot of good things about him. The thing about Anvir Keltok, however, currently, is that now with the addition of the Spirit Seers, I think Spirit Seer, right? The thing that draws cards and gets a shield. The 3 energy card.
Oh, well, you're talking... Is it Spirit Seer or is it Farseer? That's it, Farseer.
Farseer, yeah. Those... I think it has made him even better. Because now he can, even be even more consistent. And I think this is a Warlord that is severely underrated by the crowd. I don't know why, actually, because he's really good. I think that it's just that maybe he's a little bit trickier to play, because you gotta be a little smart on how you work with him.
Yeah, I think he can be a little bit trickier to play, because sometimes you need to recognize that actually you still have a good hand and you don't want to get rid of any of that stuff in your hand at the moment, but then you kind of want the stones also sometimes. So you end up, sometimes people can feel like in a tricky place. That's where it gets a bit challenging what to do, because you don't want to replace a good card for a bad card at the end of the day, which doesn't work in this scenario. But overall, I think Keltok has got better, particularly with the Farseers being able to fetch out the Reclaim the Stars card from your deck. I think that is one of the major things why it's got better, because with that now that combo is just not guaranteed as a 7 energy play, but far more reliable. Like, you can... Anvir Keltok could pretty reliably get that 7 energy card by the time doing it, just by constantly cycling cards. And now you've got sort of a fetch card ability. I think it's even more powerful. So,
yeah, it's really good.
I think I am gonna... Do you agree with this, putting it above Janezar here for now?
Yeah, again, it's very tricky with Eldar when in the A tier. All of them can be better than the other in certain situations. If you're playing control against Anvir Keltok, have fun. But if you are playing aggro, you might end up beating him down before he can do anything. But in most cases, that's another Warlord I always feel uncomfortable playing against, even though I love playing it myself, because you know why you're on a ticking bomb. Because as soon as that Warlord gets his combo going, it just goes crazy. And now Eldar got some new goodies to play with, another very good stealth legendary, and I think he's overall in a better spot.
I think
A tier.
I think so, yeah, and I think I will leave it above Janezar and Zillia except for Blade, just because of that consistency. Now we've got Medriel Galen, and I'll offer my thoughts first. I've recently, of course, you've recently done a video on Medriel Galen, and I've recently done a video on Medriel Galen. And I think she is really, really quite strong. Actually, I'll go through what our main problem is. The main problem, which was I think when I did live stream on just yesterday, actually, it's a really the deck I've got. It's a really good bloody deck when you've got the stones and you're able to then go combo from stones into more plays, which then ends up becoming bigger threats, and then they have to remove the threats, which ends up meaning you get more stones back, and then you go into more stone plays, and the cycle sort of continues, and it gets more and more out of hand, if you see what I'm saying. And I think she can actually do that uniquely compared to any other Warlord, because of her ability to actually summon a guy, and that guy can get buffed. And I think I'm not gonna lie, I think she's actually really doing quite well, and personally, I think she's here.
Oh, you even think that she's like better than the others?
No, I think she's there.
Ooh, that's interesting, actually.
Personal take. If you can disagree if you want, and I'll put it back down if you reckon. But I reckon once that snowball gets going, it's like virtually, it's not virtually unstoppable, but it really does just.
It's tough for me to say, because when I played Galen, I hadn't played her for like ages, honestly. And she felt quite better than she was. It was just that my deck wasn't exactly optimized, in my opinion. The one that I was playing, I was just testing her out. Overall, I had some things that maybe I wouldn't have normally, like, like some of the new stuff. But with the addition of the Farseer, for example, I think she's got more card draw. There's also convergence with card draw. I think she can be really good, for sure. I'm not sure if she's on top there, but I can't really say, again, because I'm not the most experienced Eldar player. I would say the one that I have the most experience with is definitely Anvir Keltok, so I could definitely go with your take. I just didn't think she was on top, but then again, when I played the ladder, I faced a lot of top Eldar players using this a couple of times, so that probably means that it's like close to what you're saying. So yeah.
I'm gonna stick with it then. I'll leave it here. It's just once you do get that going, I think it is extremely strong, and it's just it's mainly because when I used her. Granted, I was using her at a time when, I guess, people didn't know what my deck was at that time. People weren't experienced with like the really good this Eldar deck, and now that they know what it is, they probably can expect it a bit more and know what they need to be facing up against, sort of thing. So that can have effects. But I think one of the most important buffs to that Medriel Galen deck isn't actually, for example, the new Autarch, which is the 6 energy drop. That buffs the deck, trust me, because that's actually a really, really good card. But I think Farseer is like the card it's almost designed for Medjol Galen, dare I say. You have Medjol Galen has the second best warlord getting stones for the Eldar warlords. She, because of that, a constant deploying extra guy, which they have to remove, but then it leaves a stone behind. She's the second best at that. So hence, there's always stones on the field to be picked up in particular, to be able to gain that shield. So the shield part works really well. In terms of having stones in your hand, it's the second best warlord for having stones in your hand. At the end of the day, to be able to get that card draw. And one of Galen's major weaknesses is a lack of card draw, and particularly the fact that card draw is finding a card in your deck. So it's not also it's like the best form of card draw. The card is never done be useless. So the fact that it's sort of like it works perfectly well with the deck, and it solves one of its major weaknesses at the end of the day, finding potential finishes, finding potential outs in bad situations. It's kind of this is why I think I so rate Medjol Galen right now. It's because that Farseer card I think is perfectly designed for Medjol Galen and what she wants to be doing. Even though it doesn't seem like it, I think it's better than even in Keltot decks. So yes, that's why I rate Medjol Galen so highly. And dare I say that Farseer card could actually use a slight nerf, because I think it's that good.
And so. Yeah, well, Farseer is really good.
Oh yeah. It's if Eldar get a nerf, which I don't think they will. I don't think they're that oppressive. I think Ultramarines will, which I think is completely fair. I can definitely see Galen, that Farseer card in particular, like, you know, being shining standout compared to all the other cards. Now,
fair enough.
Moving on, we'll go on to Boss Zagstruck. We'll put it in B tier for now. Of course, Orcs have had such a dominant run in recent time, but over this past month, they finally, I feel like, got them into, dare I say, a sensible place, something like that. With it them being not quite nearly as oppressive with their just complete all-out aggro builds. Where do you rate Zagstruck now, considering the Orcs?
Well, I still think he's the worst of their warlords, honestly, because
Yep.
whatever he does, he just everybody else just does better, you know. Even after Gordrang's heavy nerfs, he's still the superior aggro warlord, and there have been more good aggro warlords just added to the game. I don't think he's unplayable, but that's mostly because Orcs are still good. Orcs are still good because Orcs innately have a very good... Yeah, exactly. Kit. A lot of AoE, a lot of removal, squigs, double attack. Like, even with their nerfs, they're still good. I think they should really stop with the nerfs now for the Orcs, because...
I agree. I think they've finally nerfed all the major problematic cards for the Orcs, which were causing them to be overpowered. Dare I say, I think some things have got hit along the way, which is a bit unfortunate, because it's made certain cards which were alright, but not the problem, now being just even worse, which I feel like is a bit unfortunate, but it's card games. It happens, doesn't it? Now, do you reckon it's D tier or C tier? Because I think I agree with you being a lesser sort of thing. D tier, by the way, doesn't mean it is unplayable. It's still a playable sort of like warlord. You can still use it. It just means that it's gonna be distinctly weaker compared to everything else.
I'd say C still, because, you know, carried by the faction, and, you know, no matter what you want to do, he's still gonna hurt you. +1 attack and armor. I mean, his ability is just outdated. Come on, you have like friggin' whatchamacallit, the guy from Dark Angels, what's his name? Oh my god.
Belial?
Belial, yeah. You got Belial, who's the better boss, and that flying doesn't mean crap compared to that, but he's an orc. He's an orc, so he can still hurt you. He can still out-aggro you. I don't think he's D, but he's definitely C, but he's on the top list of warlords that need help as soon as possible.
Yeah, I think I agree. The only most unique thing he can do is go for a whole bunch of unstable cards, and and because he has that 1 energy to gain 1 extra armor, it can help in if the unstable does hit Zagstruck himself. The extra armor does, help to prevent the damage of the unstable. That is the most unique thing he can do, but dare I say, you're just better off playing Gazgol, which just has more HP anyway.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is just a real shame. Now, we've got Beast Boss Morgrim. He's pretty unique with all of his beasts. It's sort of a beast aggro build where he gets the extra attack, particularly with proper killie, if you're able to get a whole bunch of beasts in one turn. What do you rate him?
Well, when he came out, I think he was underrated as hell, because the amount of damage this guy could put out was insane. And I really like playing him. The issue, however, currently that he has, one of the issues that he has is that a lot of the beasts have been nerfed, especially the mid-game beasts. So you got Rundherd being nerfed, you got your one with concussive nerfed, you got your Squig Hogs nerfed, rightfully so, by the way, because it was outclassing Squig Snazwagon completely. Well, he does have the thing that he can do a lot of damage with his combo. The issue, however, with this boy is that, I think Mozrog is a little bit better than him, even with his nerfed HP, because Mozrog can deal more damage than he can deal, and he needs a huge setup, but he does get a card draw as well, which is pretty good, though it is dependent on him taking face damage. I think he's kind of tricky. I think that currently he's not in a great spot. Maybe he would go C as well.
C tier? Well, we'll put Boss Zagstruck. So if Boss Zagstruck's bottom of C tier, he's top of C? Is that what you're reckoning?
Some would think like that, because at least he's a little bit more unique and has more synergies than Zagstruck, so you can build around him a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's completely fair. I haven't played Beast Boss Morgrim myself, but I've found, at least playing against him, that he has that sort of problem. He seems inconsistent, because if you get beast after beast after beast every single turn, that becomes really valuable. And yeah, you can get 2 energy to draw a beast, but you need a troop to kill, and then the extra attack from the 2 energy ability to draw a beast has to be somehow useful as well, otherwise you're not getting the maximum value out of it. It's spending 2 energy to take face damage to draw a card doesn't seem like the best Warlord power in the game to me.
Yeah, I think so as well, especially when you have to attack.
Yeah, so I think that's fair. Unfortunate, he's really unique. That's why I think what I quite like about him compared to some of the other Warlords, which I will touch on briefly. But unfortunately he's not the most exciting Warlord out there. No, powerful. Sorry, not exciting. Exciting, definitely. We'll move on now. Mozrog Scragbag. Where do you rate...
Yeah, the big offender.
Now, in times past, he would have been here. In fact, in times past, I would have to create a new tier, and I would have had to put it in S+ tier. Maybe even S++, or maybe even S+++. You never know. But where do you rate him now?
Oh boy, we haven't had a Warlord this offensive and not offensive but oppressive in a while. Holy hell, was this guy powerful. But he received significant nerfs. Minus 5 HP, the ability no longer lasting until the next turn.
Yep.
But this guy can still deal 4 damage to you in 1 turn, right?
Yeah, and still consistent.
And he still has Stomp. He is just now, I think is in a fair place. He's the aggro warlord, one of them at least. He's still an orc, he still does good stuff. I think he's inferior to Gaz, but I would say maybe he could go at least top of B tier, actually. He's still I don't know, he's still an orc. It still can beat you down mercilessly.
Sorry.
Maybe to the right of Calgar or even to the right of Lycis. I don't know actually, or Lycus. Somewhere there, yeah.
We'll stay safe on Lycus, and we'll put it to the left of Lycus for now. But yeah, I think overall I agree with that. That 5 HP nerf is actually a really, really big nerf. It just means that your opponent, yes, the damage is still the same, but it just means that your opponent can just snipe you out. For example, if you're playing against Yuri or Ventress, he has a better chance of sniping you out with a death from above now. He literally needs one less death from above for Yuri or Ventress to kill Mozrog Scragbag now. So that's, when you think of it like that, it's like the opponent ends up not having to waste a 4 energy turn. Like, think of it as a 4 energy turn. If you're fake tracking like that, you lose out on a 4 energy turn as Mozrog Scragbag. That's kind of a big deal. And so hence that has been quite a major nerf. But beforehand, he was, as I say, we would have needed to make another tier for this. So I think that's completely fair. As a change overall. Yeah, I think he's still an orc. He still, as he says, he still does the stuff. But he is no longer oppressive. We'll leave it there. And finally, we've got Gordrang. Where do you rate him?
So go on. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, sorry. I was just gonna say, he's sort of like, it feels like now he's another alternative to Scragbag, and he almost, like, if you were to ask me personally, even though I don't play much of orcs, I won't lie, I only really play against them, but it feels like he's just like a slightly worse version of Scragbag. What do you think?
I would say, yeah, they're about equal. Gordrang is the better aggro, full aggro. Like, if you're just planning to just be bashing the opponent and using attack squigs and stuff and just killing them as soon as possible, yeah, he's better, obviously. But I think Scragbag is better overall with playing more troops. So he's a little bit more consistent, because Gordrang is like another one of those warlords that really suffers if he's stunned. And a lot of the things of the orcs have been nerfed that he liked, like nerf to Bloodlust, nerf to the armor. So, you know, he's over. But I'm surprised that actually he's still okay. I'm really surprised.
Yeah, that doesn't overly surprise me. I mean, like, beforehand, when he had like sort of Bloodlust and stuff, he was around about, I guess, here. It makes sense that you play more troops with Scragbag, because he at bare minimum, if you are stunned on Scragbag, you can still use 2 energy to deal 1 damage to a target, right? It's not a great option, but if you happen to have 2 energy spare, you can still at least do that. Gordrang, you literally can't do anything about getting stunned. Your hero power is now literally useless. So it makes sense. Do you reckon he's just to the right of Scragbag or just to the left?
Little bit worse. Little
bit worse, yeah. I think that's what I was thinking, personal take. And I'm glad we agree. I'm going to quickly say something now, as we've got pretty much all the orc aggro warlords. I'd say roughly, like, you know, this is sort of like a message, like a plea to Everguild. All these warlords, but particularly these 3, the Gordrang, Scragbag, and Boss Zagstruck, feel like they do the same thing, which I think is a real shame. If you, I don't know if you have this take, but they both have increased, all their abilities are increased damage on their warlord, which they then punch you in the face with. And I would like to see one of these warlords play a little bit differently. Maybe Beast Boss Zagstrag can play differently and go for maybe a vehicle deck. I know that's strange being a Storm Boy or whatever. I would like to see something, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, we'll move on. We'll go to Ghazghkull Fracka. Where do you rate him?
He's the best Orc Warlord, I think, undoubtedly.
As he should
still
be.
Stays as... Yeah, I mean, he should be. I mean, come on, we're talking the Prophet, right? So he is supposed to be the guy. 40 HP, a very good ability. He can play so many different decks. You can still play Heart Control with him, and get away with it. You can play a bit of like mid-range aggro. You can even throw in some vehicles. You
Yep.
can play the Squiggoth build, which I really love, by the way, one of my favorites. No longer you can play the Green Horde build because it's no longer valid. I think.
Yeah, that card got nerfed to the ground, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to say good riddance, but I can't because I feel really sorry for every orc main because it just got killed, and that's not what we want, right?
No,
We want
it's
something
not.
to not be killed, but it should be pretty good. I think he could qualify as an A-tier warlord, honestly.
I think
He is
that's
the
fair.
orc.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still pretty good.
I think, personally, now with all the nerfs and everything, I'd say his best build is... Like, I haven't tested it myself, but I actually really do want to play it at some point if I get the cards, which is the Squiggoth build. Because nothing about the Squiggoth actually got changed during this entire time. It's all the aggro stuff. So, or somewhat the control stuff as well. So even though your Will of Gorks cost more and your extra armor costs more, you know, you can still just put in with the extra armor, and even though that's not as good, you still got this sort of big late game super threat unit, which is able to stun the opponent, so that gives you some more time. And you can use, particularly if you've got the Pain Boss, I think it is a 7 energy card which brings back a beast. If you have that card, then you can like very reliably just go card draw for the Squiggoth, play your Squiggoth like a turn earlier because it reduces its cost by 1, I think. It dies, you then play the legendary card, which then brings it back straight away, and that is just stupid, tremendous value at the end of the day. You're getting a 7 energy statted card and a 10 energy statted card for 7 energy. So even if they have the hard removal, they need a second hard removal, and guess what? They might even need a third hard removal if you have another Squiggoth after that. So it can be... That's what I would reckon personally as the best build. Haven't played it myself because I don't have the cards, but I would certainly want to test it someday.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that is definitely like one of the things that you could do with that. One of my favorite builds has always been. So yeah, that's what I think as well.
Yep. Now we're going on to Gruk Face Ripper. Where does he belong?
That's a good question. This guy has had situations of being the best warlord of the orcs in the past.
Oh yeah.
He's just he's kind of like very simple. Just like Kalgar, draws a card with extra steps.
Yep.
I mean, I think he's better than the bottom two because at least he can draw cards and be a little more consistent and be a little even more damage dealer. Not anywhere above B though.
You don't reckon?
Or maybe, I don't know. It could be. What do you think?
Nah. I was hoping, but maybe coping as well. But where do you reckon? Something like here, maybe here. I don't particularly know.
Could be above Gordrank for sure.
Above Gordrang, above Mozrok?
Could be there as well, yeah, because he can still draw cards and it's still good for control.
I would say that, yeah, like he has that consistency. The Orc aggro has been nerfed a lot, and so it kind of makes sense that you have to deviate from the Orc aggro and go into other things now.
Yep.
So now we're moving on to the Necrons, starting with Ramatek. What are you thinking, Ecclesiarch?
I mean, he's alright. He is one of the hardest warlords to trade with, that's for certain. He's got some interesting synergies with, the whole destroyer thing. The problem with Ramatek that I personally feel is that despite the fact that he probably has the best damaged Hexmark combo, to me it feels like he's a slightly worse version of, not slightly, but quite a bit worse version of Imhotep, is what I usually feel about him. But I still think that he's alright. He's still, he can still be okay. He's not bad, that's for sure. He's not on the level of the the other guys. I think he's just B.
You reckon he's just... Yeah, I can definitely see that. Because we'll move on to Imhotep in a moment, but he belongs up there. He certainly does. But just the worst version, at the end of the day, I can't disagree with that. Because he's got the Destroyer, so you can't, punch the opponent in the face. He's got the as much as the extra attack for destroyers is kind of nice and all that, and he has the decent hero power he can put on himself, he suffers from Titus, but are almost worse, because if you want to get the most value out of it, you have to use the hero power. And I guess what Everguild was going for is that it would be more flexible hero power, because you could put it on a troop in theory, and you could put it on a troop with destroyer, and then it could get the same buff, the attack increase and the armor, and then it has like increased value, right? But most of the time, at the end of the day, since because the destroyer pool is somewhat lacking, I would say in power, somewhat, he sort of struggles to find a troop he particularly wants to buff with his hero power, which only then leaves himself, and then he sort of just ends up becoming a slightly worse Imatech at the end of the day.
Yep. That's what I think is with him. I don't know where exactly he goes in B, though.
That's a good question. I'd rate him above Lavarius.
Yeah, probably.
We're being safe with Lycus. I think there. Like, does he beat Gordrang?
Probably, yeah.
You reckon? Okay. Mozrog?
Because I think maybe that's where we stop. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so, because Mozrog can still use his hero power against Ramatek when he's got the armor buff, and then decide not to punch him, right? However, Gordrang has to still punch him.
Oh, that is very true.
We'll go with that logic. Now, let's go on to the Imatech the Stormlord. I feel very confident in just doing this. The question is, where in A tier, or if not S tier?
I don't know. Either on top of A or S. This guy is insanely good.
Yeah.
The only problem that I have... This is my favorite Warlord in the game. I can confidently say. I have a lot of games with him. I've played him since, like, forever. The problem, however, that he's always had is that his games take forever, so maybe you can't really climb reliably because of that.
Because he's a control warlord, yep.
Yeah, but he's like the control warlord. Like, he can destroy spirit stones, he can destroy remnants, he can constantly heal, and now with his ability, he's almost unkillable. And if he does play Immortal Pride, well, it's very hard to destroy him. He now has a very reliable early game tool through the Ophidian Destroyer. He's got a stronger resurrection tool now with the Chronomancer. He still has Tomb World, which is a win button. And now he also has damaged hex marks just to make you suffer. So, yeah, he's either a top of A or S. He's just really good.
Yeah, that's the only discussion there, and I think that's completely fair, to be honest. He can very rarely, he sometimes can get beaten down, like that's in the early game, but the opponent has to be opening up with some serious pressure. It's about the only way I reckon he can actually be properly beaten, in a sense, without doing something broken. Hence, being the ultimate control warlord, let's put him in S tier.
I agree.
Let's put him at the bottom because Vara Tergirius can do something broken and Uriel Ventress can put down that early game Bresser. But yeah, like that's the only thing really. Like the final thing on that is that because if he can get the Immortal Pride going, and then because his hero power keeps on coming back to his hand, and potentially you can play it for free, right? That can be a really good tool for what's it? Is it Artifice? The continuous
Artifice.
Yeah, Artifice. The continuous thing, that it's a really good tool for that. So you can go for an Artifice deck potentially if you're feeling spicy. Now, Orokin. Where do you rate Orokin? Because I haven't played him myself, but I won't lie, I rate him quite highly.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. It depends on what build you're playing. But oh my god, I friggin' hate Scarab builds. I want to vomit every time I see it, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a Scarab build. That's the thing nowadays.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that I reckon his I think Aqua did a video on him recently, and I think he actually just sort of unlocked the perfect deck for Orkan, which is not a Scarab build. And if I had to be honest, I reckon I rate that over the Scarab build, if I had to be honest.
Absolutely, because Scarab build is just an annoying build that really depends on the matchup and so on.
Yeah, it's kind of comes down to, do you have Storm Raven? Do you have Eldritch Storm? Do you have so-and-so? Oh, well, I guess I win if you don't. That's what Scarabs say, right? They just ask you the question of, do you have board clear? And if you don't, I just win this game. If you do, I lose. It kind of what it feels like.
Yeah, pretty much.
But
I'd say, yeah, go on, sorry.
But that I don't reckon is his best build. I reckon it's sort of like a reanimation sort of kind of deck is a better build, and we'll rate him based on that. Where do you reckon that deck goes into?
I would say it's definitely he's definitely pretty good. It's either high B, I would say, because again, this guy can be very consistent. He can get a lot of healings with resurrections as well. I don't think he exactly qualifies as A yet.
Not
because,
yet.
Yeah, but could be a B Warlord, like very high, I think.
Yeah, I don't play with him, so I'll take your trust. I trust you on this, but I was somewhat daring to say A tier because he has got me in the past a couple of times. I won't lie.
Yeah,
Like,
he can be tricky
surprisingly
to
so.
deal with.
Oh,
I think what he needs currently is he needs just a slight boost with something. I think his healing on Remnant wasn't really a big deal. Maybe he could have gotten something else, and he would have been a little more interesting, for sure.
that's actually, it's like I think I slightly disagree with you on that. I think that has been surprisingly, at least the opponents I've played against, I've noticed that it's at least given him like 5 HP, 6 HP, 7 HP in the entire game, if not more. And that's been surprisingly good. It's kept him sort of like just topped up. And it's, whereas beforehand I would have thought about, like 7 HP across the game. That can sometimes make me, that's enough to make me go, I'm gonna try and go for lethal now and see if I can like do a whole bunch of damage to face, whether a turn or firepower, and then get lethal and kill him. That's enough of a difference to make me go, oh, I don't want to do that. No, I need a skill, keep on playing the game instead of just going for lethal. So that's where, dare I say, I actually slightly disagree with you on that. That's all perfectly fine, by the way.
Yeah, I mean,
It's our
That's how
personal
it's gonna
takes.
be.
It's our personal takes. But
absolutely.
that's where I rate it a little bit. I'm not saying it's the best ability in the world. I'm definitely not saying that. But, it counts.
Yeah, I mean, it's still sustained, so.
Yeah. Very quickly, we didn't discuss where Gazgol belongs in A tier. I've just realised. So, where do you reckon?
Haven't played enough to really say, so maybe keep it there.
Fair enough. And now we've got, is it Nemazor Zandrik?
Oh boy, I really love the Warlord, and I really, it's like one of the Necron Warlords I really enjoy. He can be quite tough to deal with, honestly, with his remnants and all of that. But real question with him is, how much does that tempo really give him? Well, currently, I think he's in a better spot. I think both him and Gamelin were kind of removed from the game when Laska Zenari was a thing.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
But now I think they're more playable. I wouldn't say he's C. I think he's B, let's be honest. Because
Okay.
I think he's all right. But I think he still struggles. I do not find, unless a Nemesaur has, a perfect beginning, he suffers from being unable to come. He doesn't really have that comeback mechanic, you know what I mean? So
Right, I see, yeah. He doesn't have,
and he also go on.
he doesn't have the, Tomb World. He doesn't have that comeback mechanic where you can just be like, I'm back in the game. Because if you get a whole bunch of 2-drops, it's like, eh.
Yeah, because Tomb World is basically unavailable to him. Because
Mm.
unless you're like the luckiest person on the planet, you're mostly gonna just drop Necron warriors, which can be cleared with one AOE card. So yeah,
Yep.
uh, I think he can be all right because Necrons have some decent early game stuff now.
Okay.
But
Yep.
I think he's like bottom of B tier.
Bottom of that's. I think that's
Or
fair.
yeah,
Do
or
you,
top of C.
we'll look at B tier, and if build B tier gets like overfilled, for example, we're moving
Probably
down
it's gonna get
potentially then.
to.
But for now, we'll leave him at the bottom of B tier because he can. He's sort of just he plays the game, he does his thing, but he's not adding any extra spice, dare I say. Like sometimes he can be, but it's not often. He doesn't often add the extra spice, the extra like pressure, the extra thing that you have to deal with, right? So it becomes a bit difficult because you know, like in terms of for EG to go along, well, how do we buff this guy then? And to be honest, without changing somewhat of his identity, does become difficult to exactly pinpoint what to do, right? But outside of that, I think he's fine. Now we're moving on to the Sisters of Battle, and starting off, we've got Erica. Where does she belong?
Oh boy. Ah, she's a tough one. She's really good. She's like really good. One of the most obnoxious abilities in the game.
Yes.
She's like one of those warlords that it is a ticking time bomb. If I had a like, I'm gonna say something like cliche, but or cheesy, but even if I had like a coin every single time I've lost to Erica when she had 4 HP, maybe I'd buy a new PC or something.
Oh,
'Cause,
really? PCs are expensive, man.
I mean, every time I've lost to Erica, it was with her being below 10 HP and then just coming back.
Wow,
Because
yeah.
as soon as she reaches like the height of her ability, she's just annihilating you. And Sisters also have a ton of comeback mechanics in the late game. Is the faction with one of the biggest swings, and Sacred Rose is still a problem.
It is.
And Miraculous Feet is a problem. And like what I mean is like a problem in a sense that if she gets those and she like has 3 faiths or something, she can do like some insane plays. And with her ability to freely increase HP of troops, she's just really good. I think currently she is being held back a little bit, mostly because of the fact that there's Uriel hard countering her. There's
I can see that.
yeah, there's some things that are being played often that hard counters her, but she's at least, I would say, top of A, at least.
Top of A.
Well, one of the top spots at least.
All right, yeah. No, I think that's pretty fair. We'll put her here for now because that's the middle of A.
Yeah.
Better than the Keltalk?
I'd say better than Keltalk. Not better than maybe Galen, but could be better than Tide. But I don't know.
Thing is, in this matchup, it's a yes.
Yeah, probably.
But it's in that specific matchup. What does Erica struggle against in particular? Like struggles against Uriel because that's like good aggro, right? And ping damage in particular.
She struggles against ping damage. Mostly, she struggles against ping damage, and she struggles against things that can punish her and stop her from praying easily. That's mostly if warlords with AOE, like Titus in the early game, for example, can really outdo her until she gets the thing. But that's the thing. She now not only has the relics of Saint Cat, but she also gets the Adelaide Serene, which, you know, sometimes I have the board, I'm like, haha, I win the game, and suddenly, all that you are and all you have done revolts me, and, you know, I lose the game because she suddenly has 8 faiths. So, yeah.
Yep,
you know, it's hard.
That can happen. Ooh, oh, no, it's just music cutting out there. I think... Can she somewhat struggle against sort of like a go wide board?
I'd say that's what she mostly will struggle against because Unless she really gets good cards. Well, that also depends. If she gets her Hallowed Martyrs, yeah, she's not gonna struggle.
True, but that requires on getting one of the legendaries that she can't fetch for. So, every single warlord's got capabilities of dealing with wide board, but does she struggle in particular? I mean, she's got that 4 energy card, she's got the 2 drops, I presume, which can do something against wide board because of the ping damage. But outside of that, I'm gonna put her behind Titus for now because I think she suffers from something like Uriel with the continuous ping, just from Warlord power, something like Imatech, I presume as well. But I think she also can struggle against someone who's really just putting down multiple bodies all the time continuously, that she has to then keep on having to deal with. Because she wants to be praying and she wants to be putting shields, and ping damage is a good, or like this all guys is a good way of breaking the shield and then punching in the face afterwards, right? So whatever it may be. Moving on, we've got Junith. Where do you rate her? Because of course there was a time, a dark time you could say, but a golden light for the Emperor. When the Junith was absolutely rocking it and doing some crazy things, but those times are no longer. So
I skipped that season. That was unbearable. Let Everguild please never do that again. So yeah, right now she's like kind of like Nemesaur. The only difference between her and Nemesaur is that she does not have to forfeit her win conditions.
No, she doesn't.
She still gets all the legendaries. She still gets the Sacred Rose, Miraculous Feat, and all the other stuff. I'd say I'd place her above the Chaplain, but that's it. I don't know.
That's it. I do agree with that, certainly. I would have thought a little bit more powerful.
Maybe, yeah. I haven't played that much, but like logically speaking, she does struggle just a little bit because currently like she unlocks her ability quite late.
Yeah, we'll leave her there then. You're probably right. I haven't played with her recently at all. Yeah, she doesn't forfeit her win cons, which is like one of the major things about her, is that she can just, you can still go for, what is it, the Exorcist, you can still go for the 9 energy drop as Triumph of St. Catherine, you can still go all those powerful, and then her ability provides her the early game sort of thing to be able to keep up, but, and then if in doubt, her ability can provide a late game if you manage to get there, that 8 faith in particular, but she now, she can't double relics anymore into 8 faith. That's the main thing, is that she can't be, if you're going to be double relicsing into taking that tempo loss, you're only at 6 faith, and if you're 6 faith, you need to figure out how to get 2 more faith. You don't particularly want to be doing double relics followed by double prayer, because that's a lot of energy at the end of the day, just into, well, pretty much doing nothing. You could always go, I guess Aveline, which is the voice quote that you mentioned, that I'm surprised that you mentioned it so accurately, but you must be traumatized by it, I don't know.
Oh no, that's my favorite voice line, top 3.
Oh, is it? Fair enough.
and I have this
using it.
Problem, I don't know what to call it, like anybody who watches me knows, I tend to like on impulse just repeat voice lines of characters, and that's one of the ones that's stuck in my head.
I wouldn't call that a problem. That's just called enjoying the game.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anyway, but still, yeah, Junith, like, yeah, I think overall I agree with that. Yeah, we'll leave it there. Now we've got Celestian Sacrosanct so-and-so. How do you pronounce the name?
Aveline, I guess?
Aveline, yes.
I would admit that she's like my second favorite Sisters Warlord, and dare I say that art is spectacular. Yes. But what does she struggle with? I think her main problem is that she kind of has the Galeron problem, which I usually say, which means that in order for her ability to, and in this case prayer, to do something, she needs to have something on the board, otherwise she just can't pray. Every other sister warlord can pray by default,
Yeah.
but that's not a huge problem. I'll be honest, I haven't played her ever since they buffed her, and I was waiting for that buff of 6 reduction to 6. When she came out, I played her a lot, and I used to enjoy her quite a bit, but she used to be the worst Sisters Warlord. I'm not sure right now. She can trade well. She's got some AoE, and if she does reach 6 fates, she can slowly become a gem boss.
Yep.
I don't know.
I have played a little bit this season. I'm not saying absolutely loads, so I don't think I've figured out an optimal deck for her. But I can tell you right now, the 6th Faith is actually a substantial buff. I can say that with confidence right now. There's been many times where just unlocking that early enough has made... I didn't really get to use it to win my game, but it has made people go, I will now just concede, because you're just gonna eventually win the game with just Aveline being at such a powerful monster per se. I'm thinking she belongs something like... I don't think she's as powerful as Calgar aggro, with that ability to continuously do damage to face, punch you, with the armor and whatnot. But I'm thinking that it's outdoing these Orc Warlords, and like these somewhat gym boss Warlords. I think it's outdoing it.
That could be quite possible. And again, she has all the sisters cards, so
Nothing wrong with sisters cards. Yeah, that's what I've particularly used. Sacred Rose, by the way, is still as busted as it used to be. Don't forget about that.
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
Right, we are now moving on to Morven. We'll just hold on. I'll just bring this slightly down. But yes, Morven.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite one.
Yeah,
I freaking love this warlord, man. It's like my favorite sister's warlord. I love the whole penitence thing that she has going. She's unique in her own way because she has a very unique play style. She combos with penitence really well, and I often find that people tend to underestimate just how much of a monster this warlord can be. I wouldn't say that she's like that good, like crazy good, but people tend to underestimate her. I think she's also a little bit harder to play because a lot of times you have to make Spirit of the Martyr plays, and it has to be pretty good, and you have to ping very correctly, something that I mess up as well, even though I play her a lot. I'd say she's underrated. A lot of people underrate just how good she is, and when there are certain metas like Gene Stealers running around and stuff, she can just absolutely annihilate certain like matchups. I think she's quite good. She's maybe not because Erika still has a win con on her, but I would argue she could be beside Aveline.
I think that's fair. I would put her just above Aveline. Actually, I'll put her here.
Yeah, she's good. She's, I think, underrated. I can definitely say that from experience because I play her a lot.
I agree. I don't play her probably as much as you do, but I can certainly say one of the most powerful things you can do is Sacred Rose into her ability. If you do have that 4 faith, suddenly now you have 2 flankers, which are actually a 4 attack each, 5 attack each, sorry. 5 range attack, not just a mere 3 range attack. So you can be taking out 2 5-drops or 4-drops in theory just with a 6 energy combo play, and you still have a 4 attack Warlord with that as well. So that is, like, just for example, a really scary play that you can do that you can't do with any other Sisters Warlord, or frankly honest, any Warlord out there in general. So definitely don't underrate a good Morven Varl player. I can promise you right now, it will cause Uriel Ventress a problem.
Yeah, she's pretty good. Underrated for sure. But yeah, she doesn't have like anything as naughty as Erika, obviously, but she's pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. So let's move on. We've got Tyranids. And, excuse me, and the first one we're talking about is the Swarm Lord. Where do you reckon?
Yeah, you can throw that in S tier right away. That is absolutely insane right now. I'll tell you that. I had a lot of conversations with Shumatsu about that. And, everybody knows Shumatsu.
Yeah.
That's the hive mind. Yeah, that's our hive mind basically. And as soon as like Swarmlord received the change, I remember what Shuma told me was that Ecclesiarch, like, they just killed the variety, but they just made him that much powerful, and he's the Swarmlord right now. And I think that is very true because right now this guy can drop such huge units that is crazy to attack. Really, like, nuts,
Yeah.
absolutely nuts. And with stealth units, and with even with carnifexes and stuff, and even with things like, imagine this, like, he can on turn one, if he just not coins but defense cards into something, and you just can't take it out, yeah, game will get very ugly very soon. So
Yeah. I've recently faced that. Personally, I would have only put it in an A tier, but I don't talk to Samacha as much as I probably should do, talking about how to counter Swarmlord. So I'll take Samachu's word on this then, and I'll put it into S tier. The only question is, where in S tier do you reckon? Is he...
that's a good question. So to be quite fair, like, when I spoke to him, he didn't like necessarily tell me like how good it is.
Right,
But
yeah,
from my experience and from what I did when facing Swarmlords and playing Swarmlord, I did notice that he's like very good. He could be better than Emotech. I reckon he could be better than Emotech. Swarmlord, also never forget, has that 3 attack still that is very good at just smashing like and swinging tempo.
Yep.
And now he gets less punished from ranged units because whatever he plays gets a high ranged attack now.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I mean, his change, which I'm going to say it is a change, to be frankly honest, from when his ability used to cost 1 to back to 2 again, but then they increased the melee attack and range attack. It was merely a change, if not, because they were trying to nerf the Warlord. That's what they were trying to achieve. They didn't nerf it. They really didn't nerf it, guys. So
no, they buffed it.
if anything, they buffed it. But it was trying to be a nerf.
Yeah, no, that was a buff. That was a huge buff.
It was kind of funny.
Yeah,
Anyway.
that's the feeling that I got from it. Like, oh, so they tried to nerf it, right? So yeah,
They tried. They did succeed. Anyway,
there's another underrated Warlord comment.
so yeah, I'll quickly just touch on Swarmlord and I'll make another point here because I love making my points. About just anti-stealth in the game. Please, Everguild, make anti-stealth in the game better so that we can have stealth Warlords and actually them have good stealth units. Thank you.
Agreed.
Tervagon.
Oh, this is a tough one. This is a very tough one because this is the Warlord that is the hardest to play in the game, in my opinion. Because so let me give you an example. A difference between a good, let's say, Kalgar and a bad Kalgar is evident, right? But it's not even. So let's say a good Kalgar plays him at B tier. Let's say a bad Kalgar plays him at C tier.
Yeah, no, I agree with this.
If a good Tervagon plays Tervagon at S, just saying, a bad Tervagon plays it at D. Because this Warlord is so specific, and it needs so much thinking and, like, planning and so on. I think that that's one of the reasons why she, or whatever the hell that is not like I guess, is like not being played more often. Every time I faced a good Tervagon, it's hell. Not like automatic lose, but it is hell. I think this is a hidden gem, but not like that strong, but pretty good overall.
Yeah, we'll rate him on the fact that whoever you're playing against is actually playing Tervagon well, and I'll always rate the Warlords on their best potential, let's say. I think I completely agree with you, Ecclesiarch. He's one of those Warlords which you have to think 2 turns ahead, if not 3 turns ahead. Like with some other Warlords, you have to think about the turn here and now and what's best on this turn. Tervagon, you have to think that far ahead. And that's with that 40 HP allowing you to, you know, be able to more able to do that, because it gives you that somewhat redundancy. It can be a really big problem if played well. But you do have to play it well. It is a very punishing Warlord. If you play it wrong, and you get something slightly wrong, the opponent can just absolutely ruin your game plan, and then all your setup and whatever completely goes out the window. You're probably gonna have to use your combo, what you're planning to use your combo for, just to remove something quite basic so you don't die next turn, and then that's when you end up, it goes downhill from there. But if you're able to, like, you know, get past that sort of like difficulty, very high floor, then it can be a serious Warlord. So on that basis, with all that rating and praise and stuff, where do you put it? Were you thinking A?
I'd say somewhere on high B for sure.
High B.
Yeah, maybe even above Oricon, I would say.
Let's
because
do
like it's just really good. It's just like one of the Warlords that when you're a newbie and you get it as your first Tyranid Warlord and you're like, oh my god, this Warlord sucks. So a lot of people abandon and never go back to it, but nah, man, this is very good Warlord. Infinite generation of like troops that can grow. Yeah, it's big.
Yeah. Talk to Smatsu. He should be able to give you some pointers.
Ooh, the Terror.
Terror of Varnagast. Now, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, personally here, this is one of our first, certainly, C-tier Warlords. Now, I'm not put it behind Boss Zagstruck. What do you think?
Well, I would say C, but higher than those guys, and I'll tell you why. I actually played this guy recently quite a lot, and the thing is, it's very specific. It's just that, like, again, it's an aggro warlord, but that aggro warlord really needs certain situations. The ability is very one-dimensional, and a lot of those Tyranid cards, maybe except a few, don't really support the playstyle. There's literally no synergy with the synapse and stuff, but I think it just still outdoes the orcs, because the amount of damage this thing does should not be underestimated. When I played it, and that healing actually did quite well, this thing can deal like insane amount of damage. It just needs to be played smart once again. It needs some different cards like Ripper Swarms and stuff. But I still think, yeah, it needs support, because there is a reason why you don't see more of this, right? And it's not the same reason as with Tervigon. It's not hard to play. It just needs more support.
Yeah, I'll agree with you with that then. Yeah, he can do the damage. I certainly don't disagree on that. I just think, unfortunately, its buff to gain Slay to heal 1 really wasn't that overly... It didn't seem that impressive to me, certainly. And I felt like he could have used more of a change. In terms of... I wouldn't say identity, but like I certainly feel like he is meant to be the aggro warlord for Tyranids, and unfortunately, Smallrod feels like he always does it. It's just him, but better.
Yeah, pretty much.
I feel sorry, somewhat feel sorry for this Tyranid. Not that I feel sorry for Tyranids, but yeah, just the healing just felt like just a real minor change and not something which is particularly significant, dare I say. And now I want to go on to Neurothrope. Where do you rate this guy?
He's pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
He's pretty good because he now... And you know what I love? It now has an identity. Like, you play this with the Norn in a lot of ways. Not only... That's not the only way, but... Like, one of the things, you know, healing slowly, sustaining yourself, and then just dropping the Norn emissaries. I would say it's like above Tervigon, actually. It's one of the better B tier warlords. I don't know if it's A. I wouldn't necessarily say it's A, because you still do depend on having your Norns in your hand. But that being said, ever since it got the Synapse on itself, it unlocked a lot of really good stuff on him, including the addition of that ranged invulnerability card. This Warlord is quite strong. This is quite powerful, actually. I would say that's my take. Not as good as Swarmlord, obviously. Not even close, but pretty good.
Nah, yeah, I think I agree with you overall. I really do like him. His main problem is that he can sometimes suffer from just opponent having good hard removal. If they just have hard removal, you play your normal emissary and it just dies, and you sort of like spend that game building up to it, sort of thing. But it does have the non-emissary threat, unlike other warlords, which means that it is certainly in B tier. I wouldn't say A. The question is where in B tier.
Well, it has to be at least above, I think, the Tervigon.
Above Tervigon.
Yeah, I mean, Tervigon is really good, but Tervigon does suffer from having a weaker comeback mechanic. Like, if Tervigon gets going, good luck ever stopping it. But Neurotrope, I think, has a stronger comeback. And even though it has the problem of hard removal, does have a couple of ways of foregoing that, like stealth or infinite biomorphologies and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
you know.
It does.
You know, yeah.
I the thing is, I just personally, I don't really think it could be rated above Calgar. Like, I can
maybe
see,
you're right.
I can see Tervigon because it's such a difficult lord to play with. That actually playing it right. But if you do play it right, and we presume the opponent always plays it right, which is a really difficult challenge within itself. But hence I can see that. But I think Tervigon, it does have a couple of problems. It can suffer from hard removal if you don't have the protection cards for your normal emissary. But then you also do need to start your hand with a normal emissary in your hand if you want to get out, like, you know, in reasonable time. You don't need it turn 1, but you probably need it like turn 3 at the latest, so 4 energy, to start then decreasing that cost down so that you play it, and that can, I would say, lead to some challenges. So hence, because of that inconsistency factor, I wouldn't rate it as highly. Yes, it is powerful when he's able to do it, but I don't think he does it, even though he does it more often than not. I don't think he does it every single game, and since I don't think personally I can rate him a Neurothreat above Calgar.
Yeah, you do have a good point.
Because a Calgar is very consistent and he's always able to kill you at some point with death from above and whatnot. So, moving on, we'll go to you know, enjoy this, Abaddon.
Ooh. Well, I am a huge Abaddon fan, as you know.
Yep.
I mean, that Warlord is a solid package, honestly. Like, 40 HP and goes to 42 on turn 1, potentially. Like,
Yeah.
I would say he's got, like, the best energy dump in the game, at least one of.
No, I think
Chaos,
you're right. I think he does have the best energy jump in the game.
Yeah, he just keeps growing. And Chaos, I think, is in quite a solid spot. The invulnerability that it got was pretty good. Some buffs and changes they got were pretty good. Maybe I don't know how to feel about the Possessed change, but, you know, it's still a kind of a must-have card. Has one very great good win button as well. Has Draconian. I'd say he's a pretty good Warlord. Honestly speaking, like, every time you face him, if he knows what he's doing, it's not going to be easy. I would say it's either, like, high B, somewhere like that. I would say maybe better than Calgar, actually. Or even Morven.
I think I agree with this. I think I do. I don't play too much of Abaddon. I quite like Harken right now. That's what I've been playing around with.
Yeah.
Because I really enjoy that sort of playstyle, but I can't deny the Dracdien, the Venom Crawler, the Murderous Desires combo. That's really good. You can play, he's one of the warlords which can actually play for Black Crusade, because of that, just that energy dump of continuous extra health means that it just becomes the completely viable thing to do, just able to get those big things down. Hence, he's really cool. And I know you mentioned this before we started recording. What I thought was a really good idea for Terminator, if you know the Terminator card. You want him to have 1 armor, don't you? This is what you've been saying this entire time. I would
even if you get like some stat changes, I think it just needs it.
Yeah, I would say maybe like 1 less melee attack. So it becomes a 4/6, which I think is fair. But what I would do is actually have him as teleport gain 1 armor, because in principle, when he uses Black Crusade, that draws from his deck, doesn't it? And it gets played straight away.
Yes.
So the teleport would in principle work.
Yes, it should technically work.
It should technically work. So give it teleport, gain like 2 armor or maybe 1, something like that. And I would really appreciate. Yeah, probably teleport, gain 2 armor. That's what I'm thinking. And then decrease the melee attack by 1. And I reckon it'll be a really fun card to play with.
Yeah, plus you wouldn't have the crazy consistency as Azrael, so it should be good.
No, you won't. So, and it's a Terminator. So, it should have it. Anyway, moving on, we've got Xyla Hexcorn. Now, I don't know about you, Ecclesiarch, but personally, I feel fairly confident this is going somewhere in A tier.
Absolutely.
The question is where?
Maybe above Gaz.
Maybe
even
at least above Gaz. Like if I would have, I guess I would have rated Gaz a bit more highly, but I'm thinking.
Yeah, he could go somewhere there as well.
Does he beat Keltok? Thing is the damage potential, just murderous desires with this guy is crazy.
Yeah, he plays the other deck of Black Legion, which is the mid-range aggro deck, and he's really just good at beating you down before you're able to do stuff. Maybe above Keltok, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I guess Erica can somewhat stun it, and I've played Titus into our matchup really as well, and Titus is able to sustain it a bit, and then what is undervalued is against that is particularly Eradicator. Tactical Insight Eradicator is a very good counter to Venom Crawler, and so hence if you're playing Ultramarines, never underestimate an Eradicator being able to deal with that job. But I would put yeah, it is a very scary thing, the Venom Crawler. Moving on, we've got Galaron the Pious. Where do you rate Galaron?
Well, a lot of people would say he's C, but I disagree. I'd say he's B, but lower than Abaddon for sure. He mostly depends on getting his Idolatrous Despoilers, because after that he gets insane sustain ability. But he has a couple of problems. I think he has mainly 2 problems. A, he doesn't have an energy dump, which means that he cannot target. He can turn 1, he just has to press end turn. That's his problem. Number 1 problem, I think. That's what needs to change. And number 2 is that the friggin' Hellfire Outburst. Like, if you're listening to me, guys, as a guy who plays Chaos a lot, I can tell you, whenever you face Galaron, just use that ability.
Just go Hellfire Outburst, and then, for example, it ends up making matchups which in principle should be absolutely amazing for Galaron, right? For example, Medjugorje Galen. The problem with Galaron, as you said, is that sometimes turn 1 he has to just skip the turn because there isn't a troop to put his hero power on. But Medjugorje Galen goes along and deploys a troop every single turn. So if Medjugorje Galen goes first and deploys a troop, Galaron just, puts a thing on it and kills the troop and then gets his health back, right? But I've played Medjugorje Galen against Galaron, and if I'm going first and I choose Hellfire Outburst, I've played that game, and I can tell you right now that I've just been able to punch him in the face and beat him down.
Yeah, which is something that you can't do against Abaddon, because, you're never gonna out Hellfire him, because he's got so much HP that he's gonna make you regret it. Unless, of course, let's say with Eldar, you can play around it with Spirit Stones and stuff, because that can get hit with a Hellfire. But I think that offense card is really working hard against Galaron. I'd say Galaron is better than Nemesor, but that's what he gets, I'd say.
I'm going to put him above Chaplain of Varius, because I have played Chaplain of Varius against Galaron, and I can tell you that is a terrible matchup. Chaplain of Varius versus Galaron. Chaplain of Varius, particularly if you go for the aggro style or trying to put down troops and stuff, which is what you're trying to do, because you're trying to use your strike ability to heal them up. It leaves a lot of good, juicy targets for Galaron the Pious, to use healing, and I can tell you right now, the only way Chaplain of Iris beats Galaron is if Chaplain does go first and he uses Hellfire Outburst. That's the only chance he got, and even then it can be a little bit sketchy, believe it or not. Probably not so much now because Death from Above, and you have the Death from Above, you know, build going on, but even still, it can be a bit sketchy, so I will put Galaron above Chaplain of Iris for that reason. Now we've got Harken World Claimer. I want to see your take first, Ecclesiarch. What do you reckon?
Oh, I played him quite a bit, and I think he's much better because turns out he can summon multiple things because of the blast. So if you're playing against Scarabs or something like that, it's very funny. I think I really like that they finally gave him an identity other than being the worst Abaddon. So I think he's quite good. In certain matchups, he's not as good. Like if you put him against Demotech, I think he loses because Demotech can just out sustain him, and Demotech won't really drop anything for you to abuse.
I completely agree with that. Against Imhotep, against Titus, it is terrible matchups. Titus doesn't play anything either. He just heals up and punches him in the face. And so it ends up being terrible matchups. But then against other matchups, he is like the bee's knees sort of thing. Like Galen, Harken versus Galen is like amazing. Because Galen puts down a guy, you know, has so-and-so, and then you just go hero power, you kill the guy, and then you get a better guy.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'd say it's B, but I'm not sure where.
That is the question, because you can't like super buff them with Galen, what you can do right now, and that's why he's in B and not in A, for example. Where I feel fairly confident at least putting him above Galaron, above Junith. I feel confident putting it above Junith.
Yeah, I think that's where he goes. I think he's finally viable to play.
Yeah, I did play him before, and I don't think he was actually as... Because I made a deck on him, and actually I don't think it was as bad, because I played like a whole bunch of low drop troops, and I was able to make him work. So I reckon he was probably around about C tier, not like maybe D tier people might have thought. But now he's certainly, I think I do agree, I think he's better, and probably around about here is correct. Now makes sense. Now we've got the Imperial Guard. We got starting off with Lord Solar Leontus. Where do you reckon this guy belongs?
It hurts me for a couple of reasons. I really like the character, even though his book was a bit of a bolter pornography. I still like the character, and you know what the funny thing is, my friend? Every time I play this Warlord, I get a lot of wins, but I think it's mostly because I either get lucky or the opponent is just not sure. His ability is nice, but he just doesn't really do anything. Like,
no, he doesn't. Like he just sort of he has a duty ability, which is just deal 3 damage. Which, if there's like a big threat which has 3 health remaining, that's it's quite nice to not take the damage back, right? His ability is quite nice because you can punch opponent in the face, and you become a bit of a beat stick, particularly with 40 HP. But you really, it's not like Titus where you get the sustain as well. So you can't be doing that. You're just using your ability forever. At some point, you have to play down troops, and then you have to buff the troops. But then you have to do that efficiently, and it doesn't feel like he can quite do it efficiently.
It does have the benefit of 40 HP though, which is of course good.
That is his major benefit, yeah. He does have 40 HP.
And his ability does last until the next turn. I think that's maybe what saves him from C, but he's like bottom B. Like bottom. Right. Either like C, top of C or bottom B.
If we're talking
I think the guy really needs help.
If we're talking about this, I think we've got too many people in B tier, to be honest. So I'm gonna move Nemazor.
Maybe we can like put some of them in D and like filter a little bit.
I think, yeah, we'll put Chaplain of Iris down. We'll put this down, and I'm sorry. I'm still sorry for Boss Cytruck, but he really doesn't do anything, so we're gonna put him down as well.
I mean, yeah, that's true. My guy really doesn't do anything.
Like he's more just getting carried. We're based in Warlords, I guess so, not so much the faction, and he really does get carried by the Orc faction rather than the actual. If you get what I'm saying, so we'll do that. On the, should we leave Galeron? I think we'll leave Galeron.
I'd say leave Galeron.
Yeah, I think we leave Galeron. Yeah. That's fair. Now we've got left with, well, we've got Hector Femin.
I would argue we could maybe we could talk about Tenman and Ursula together, because I think this is a special case where two warlords are identical in strength, but in a little bit different way.
It is weird. It's Ursula Creed just works because she puts down a troop and then she has a decent warlord power. Hector Femin works weirdly, but Hector Femin works because he solves one of the biggest problems that the Imperial Guard kind of has, which is a lack of card draw, and hence his duty ability is just a decent ability. The stun, never underrate that stun effect. You can, the surprising about it is that you got to get the timing right. So you got to do it when you've just played as many troops as you can. That's when you go for the stun. You go for either the stun on the Warlord, or you go for like a stun on a major big troop that you don't want to deal with this turn. That means that, because the Imperial Guard are a very snowball faction because of all their regiment effects. So if you're able to get that snowball sort of going, you can really do a lot of damage with all the regiment, because you end up playing troops on the next turn and troops on the next turn and so and so and so and so. It keeps the spiral going, right? So that's why the stun's so good, because it prevents the opponent from breaking the snowball.
I think I agree. I'd put them right below Calgar.
I would have placed them a little bit higher.
Actually, yeah, sure. I'm totally up for it.
Because I rate the Imperial Guard. I was saying, I was starting to think they're getting into that A tier.
Maybe you're right, actually. To be honest, yeah, you might actually have a point there.
Bottom of A tier, because like, particularly if you get KDS stands and 4E, like, there is very little warlords which can deal with a KDS stands effectively on 4E. Now I know that technically goes for any warlord, but I feel like these two warlords benefit more from KDS stands on 4E than pretty much any other warlord.
Absolutely.
Now we've got Commissar Denkler. Now, there's some interesting builds. You've got this is the most flexible warlord out of the Imperial Guard, I'd say. You can go for like trying to go for a mass troop spam build. With the particularly with what's his name? There's an 8 energy drop for the Imperial Guard.
You mean the legendary?
Legendary, yes.
I don't remember what he's called, but the one that reduces the active cost.
You can go for sort of a build with him where you have that 8 energy cost. You would probably go for as much card draw you can get inside a faction. And basically what you do is you play that 8 energy down, and then he reduces the whole bunch of stratagems in your hand, and then you're sort of able to flood board. And what you can do is you can get particularly around the 6 energy drop cards. There's multiple cards which deploy down 3 troops. So you can have 4 of those in your deck, and then you can just sort of like spam the board. You can go for a refill turn with that. It becomes you can have this big tempo turn. You can also go for a late game sort of like heavy tank build, where what you do is you go for siege warfare. You particularly get it out with what's his face, the Psyker guy, not Primaris Psyker, Astropath. That's it. You're completely right. Go for Astropath, get siege warfare early on, play that on 8E. You get like a Baneblade and a Rogue or Dawn tank, and then you sort of just get some big scary threats which are able to shoot people in the face. What do you overall, how do you rate this guy?
I think this is where I realized it was good that you put the others in A, because I think he's B.
Yeah.
Maybe like above Neuro.
Neurophrobe. I can see that.
Yeah, but that's it.
Yeah, I agree with you, because particularly in that matchup, the Imperial Guard do have that really good hard removal, which is a very scary counter for Neurophrobe.
And apart from that, their tanks have been kind of nerfed, so, you know, he's not as good as he used to be.
No, yeah. So back when the Baneblade, back when the Baneblade had like 2 armor and it gave like, I think he gave Denkler 2 extra armor as well. That was a scary time.
Oh, by the way, can we start from Magus so that we can put him in D?
Magus? this
Can
guy.
we just put him? Can we just throw him in D tier and talk about him? Because I kind of feel sorry about this Warlord.
Okay, I was thinking we put other Warlords in D tier, in my personal opinion. But,
Sure.
because I think this guy is actually a C tier Warlord.
It could be bottom of the sea.
Yeah, I think this guy's a C tier, but I know what you're talking about. He did get a particularly big change, and go and talk about him.
I mean, I haven't seen this guy being played ever since his changes. Like, I've literally seen more Boss Zackstruck than I have seen this guy being played. It's insanity because he really doesn't do anything anymore for the Gene Stealers. He just generates random troops. He no longer has the big combos. He no longer gets the huge tempo. He's just struggling a lot. I just think that the only thing that maybe he's got going for himself is that he's better than Lashka Zenari. Because Lashka Zenari went from being the most obnoxious warlord in the game that was ruining the game to the worst warlord in the game, potentially.
Yeah, he is. Zenari is... like, thank goodness. But, oh gosh, jeez. Like, could they have not made another Sabotage Warlord? Like, why?
That should have just been a trigger ambush, and
It should have been an ambush Warlord. You're completely right. They should just change it back to have the +1 range attack, but then slay triggered an ambush of a friendly troop. Done.
Absolutely.
Like, why was it not an ambush? The entire archetype of that deck was meant to be vehicles and ambush, and yet they made it a Sabotage Warlord. Oh gosh.
And they ended up nerfing the whole archetype. Now the Sabotage is completely dead. And
mostly
Zenari is dead.
Yeah, mostly because I'm like Primus Safriana, but yeah, because of Zenari, man. We'll go on to Icon Ward so-and-so. I don't rate this Warlord. I really don't. My personal take is it goes here. Maybe... no, actually, I'll put it here, but it's... personally, I think it's below Magus. What do you think?
I'd say maybe higher than Magus because at least it can play aggro.
It is a different archetype. But I think Magus can go...
yeah, not good.
Magus can go for a, sort of like a value build. Just with her ability, even though it's not great. But I mean, like, GSC, what they want to be doing is combo at the end of the day. Like, let's just be fair. That's what they want to do. They want to go for combo. Now, sometimes if you get lucky with Magus, you can enable a combo, because you could get the card you need for the combo on turn 1, and then you're able to go from there. But it's sort of a weird thing just with Magus. Icon Ward, I don't think it does anything really to support combo, and I mean, like, it can somewhat go for aggro, but I don't rate it.
Yeah, maybe he just goes below Magus, I guess, yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, maybe, don't know what, D tier?
I think both deserve D tier, to be honest.
Fair enough.
Like, when was the last time you fought one of those? I have fought, like, Icon Ward more, but still trash, I would say.
Yeah, I think the things we're rating things on both are on overall power level. And Icon Ward, I think does something different, even though I think is not as powerful.
You know what the fun part is? So we kind of rated all the Gene Stealer Warlords terribly, and now the next one I think is actually A tier.
No, hold on. Let me just add her above very quickly. I'm not doing anything in particular here, which is just, you know, broken, and yep. Here we go. Yep, but broken tier needs a nerf. Please nerf this. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's pretty disgusting. It's pretty disgusting, I'll admit.
No, I'm kidding. Delete this row. That's fine. And this was red. Done. But yes, I think he, Primus Safriana is A tier, somewhere in A tier. It's just that's going off to the joke sometime when I suggested to nerf Primus Safriana, and there was a lot of backlash around that because people hated the idea. I mean,
it is disgusting, that's for sure. It's not maybe OP, but it's disgusting.
I will say I said that with preface into buffing the faction as a whole, because I'm just saying, we have 3 D tier warlords for GSE and 1 A tier, which is the entire reason why the faction doesn't get a buff. So if you nerf the A tier warlord down to D tier and buff the faction, maybe on average they'll get better. But that is a spicy hot take because people like their Primus Safriana.
So here's the thing. Gene Stealers have multiple cards that are obnoxious. They have Neophyte, they have the stealth that gives attack. They still have combos. The faction itself is not in a bad spot. Like, the Patriarch is there. It's just that most of their warlords just do things that don't synergize at all. Like, with Magus, it's not, like, even closely good as, like, good enough to support whatever they're doing. When Magus came out, his ability was, like, a general value. Oh, generate something and make it cheap. Wow.
Yeah, okay. Make it cheaper.
I'm just gonna play it because it's broken value, not because it's actually good with the faction.
Yeah, that's the problem. And if it happened to get you something which synergized for the faction, that's just a plus.
Gennari now has 0 synergy, and it synergizes with the worst archetype now for the faction.
Probably,
and the ability is just too weak.
Yep.
And Malak, also no synergy, while Safa has insane amount of flexibility, and she can abuse all the strong things that the faction has.
Yeah, just abuses it all. So it's really hard to go along and say.
I put her actually above Sylar.
Above Xyla, yep. Xyla, wait, Xyla Hexcorn. Oh, above Xyla. I've got no complaints. We'll keep it there.
Fair enough.
Right, moving on. We now had Lord Kafal. Lord Kafal? Yes, Lord Kafal. Where do we rate this guy?
That guy is like, that guy needs help.
Yeah. How far of help does he need?
It's deep.
Yeah.
It's above the others, though.
I think so, yeah. I do think so. I did try, I remember on a live stream once when I was like trying to use this guy and I was trying to make him work. I really did struggle. I think I will go back to him again and have a fresh pair of eyes looking about what we can do instead, what other things I can put in. So I think there's still a couple of things I haven't tried yet, but I won't lie, I certainly did struggle. Maybe he belongs in C tier if I figure out our deck with him, but for now, he's going in D tier.
Yeah, because I think his passive is next to useless. I think it should be cruelty or something like that. The issue, my issue with the thing is that like Emperor's Children only received nerfs pretty much, while they really didn't get any real buffs. Well, Capriel got a buff, but it's not enough, I think.
No real buffs. In all honesty, this is the truth. This is the truth. Is that when Emperor's Children released, they had some broken cards. And they had some absolutely trash tier cards. And that's why it led to several games where it was like, if they're able to do their thing, they just absolutely demolish you. But if they can't, you can sort of demolish them. And that's what I noticed certainly begin with, is that there were games where I would just lose and there's games where I would just win. And eventually got to the stage where we figured out what was good, what was not. You know, we're going to go on to Warlord Awards in a moment, but we've noticed that Warlord was extremely strong and he didn't have many counters, although he did have some. And it was a very much a feast or famine faction at that time. But unfortunately, he doesn't really synergize with this feast or famine sort of playstyle sort of deck. So now he's just there's certainly certain cards in that faction which could use some serious buffs, and dare I say potentially, you know, a card which has Vanguard on it. Don't know. That could be an idea. Yeah, ever thought about that, Ecclesiarch?
Well, they literally have no Vanguard, which kind of forces them to play aggressive.
Yeah,
and that's why Caphrile struggles, because he really can't do anything for aggression. I know it's supposed to help aggro with the stimulation. That's why I think they should change it to cruelty, maybe.
Yeah, potentially, but I would really like to see Lord Caphile just be more of a control warlord. So, like, well, more control-like at least, maybe mid-range, but something like more like heal, if I'm pronouncing that right. Instead of +1 attack, just heal 1 to a friendly troop, right, as a stimulation effect. Something like that. So you can put things on him, and then he's able to buff, like, keep the other troops that he's got alive, and then you can go from there. So I think that would be better, because +1 melee attack, I mean, a lot of the things you want to be playing with Lord Caphile, actually, not the flank troops, but just like some of the generic troops, actually have high range attack. So giving him +1 melee doesn't particularly help, and there isn't like many cards which you want to use on Lord Caphile himself to target him, because there's quite a few cards which actually just damage him, and if you do that, then you're just sort of like, you know, you're just, as a control warlord, you're just inviting the opponent to play more aggro against you if you damage yourself, which is not a smart idea.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that is pretty much the issue with that. And like when it comes to the other two warlords, that's the thing. They're in a much better spot, to be honest, if you compare it.
Yeah, they are definitely. We'll go on to Demon Prince Zaran. I can't pronounce his name.
Zarahan, I believe,
Zarahan.
is the one.
Demon Prince Zarahan. I'll rate him first, so I'll see what you think. He has a slight problem with his ability. It's his ability is 2 energy, give a dark pact to Sanesh, there we go, to a friendly troop, and if it happens to have demon, it gives it +2 life. That's a pretty good ability, particularly on demons. That's just +2/+2/+2, and there's no complaining about that, particularly on a hero power for just 2 energy. That's just a good buff. The problem is when you don't have a troop to buff. So you kind of have to spend, if you want to be continuously using his ability, in theory, you kind of have to spend your first turn to deploy a troop down, and then the next turn deploy another troop down, and I guess you could play a 1 energy troop and do that. He also has, though, as a plus side, he does have XT 15 to gain +1 melee attack, and you can abuse that to trigger that multiple times. If you keep on healing yourself and going back down to 15 life again, you can abuse that to actually get this guy to be a pretty big good beat stick. You're not going to be like the most big beat stick out of warlords in the game. You're not going to outdo Titus when he has Assault Doctrine, for example. You're probably not going to outdo Aveline, but you can certainly beat some other warlords out there, like for definite. You can become a problem with that. But his main benefit really is that he does have 40 HP, which means that you can take those early turns off, not doing anything with your hero power, because at the end of the day, you're already kind of ahead with that 40 HP. So if I was to rate him somewhere, you would probably go in B tier, and I would rate him probably, I'm reckoning just below Gordrank. I reckon the Gordrank can cause a problem for this guy. I reckon Zandrek can most, yeah. I think this is pretty fair. What do you think?
Oh, I agree. I think he's B. I would maybe take him a little bit higher, actually. I played quite a few of him. Tim also, I think Long Tim also played him quite a bit.
Okay.
He can be pretty scary, actually. I just think, like, you know what the wild card with this Warlord is? And I think that's a good spot. Maybe below Avalon, actually.
Below Avalon,
but,
okay.
You know what the thing is? This is one of those Warlords that suffers from having no energy dump.
Yeah.
But I'm scared to say what's gonna happen if he does have it, because if you remember, before Abaddon got his energy dump and his
Yep.
ability was just on troops, he was a D tier warlord.
He
And like,
was. And then
as soon as he
suddenly
got it,
he went straight to A tier, if not S.
yeah, he has had seasons where he was S. So Abaddon with this one change, right? And Zarahan's ability, I would argue, is better than Abaddon's.
Oh, yeah,
when used
no,
on
yeah.
like demons.
Yeah, like even let's just say that Abaddon uses it on a troop, right? And his ability gives a dark pack of Sanesh to a troop. It's random, so you can't even control it. With Zarahan, you know you're gonna get a dark pack Sanesh, but let's say you both do it. At base principle, Demon Prince Zarahan is also going to give the demons +2 health as well. So if it goes on a demon troop, it's just better Abaddon.
Yeah, that's what I think. And plus, don't forget their reinforcements. Their reinforcements are definitely going to be demons. We're going to get probably, I assume, Shalaxi Hellbane.
I hope so. Yep.
According to their codex, it's kind of obvious that it's going to be Keepers of Secret and Shalaxi and some other stuff. So I think he's going to get even better with that, with more demon support. I'd say he's a pretty good warlord. But the next one is better, though.
Next, Lucius the Eternal. Now, this is quite interesting. I don't particularly play Lucius. I've played quite a bit of Titus, particularly when Lucius was very good. And Titus was a very good counter warlord to Lucius. But I wanted to see your take on this. Is he B tier, like high B, or is he an A tier?
I'd say I'd put him above Tervagon. Maybe not A. Before he got nerfed, he was definitely A tier.
Oh, he was S tier back then, I reckon.
Or even S, yeah, you're right. Because, like, the guy, he can, even with his lower HP and one ranged attack, he can outduel anyone except Titus, I believe.
Yeah, Titus was the only exception. And at the end of the day, guys, like, Titus only outdoes him by 1 attack point. Titus, it's only by 1. So, you know, that's after, particularly Lucius after Lucius does a 1 energy ability and Titus did a 2 energy ability, you gotta realize he only outdoes him by 1, so it's not even that much.
Yeah, I think he's just, well, I mean, it's a good touch because he's supposed to be a good duelist, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
According to the lore, that's what he's all about. Aside from being a degenerate. But yeah, he also has another very good thing on him, which is that he's the best at using the 5 energy legendary, which is the board clear.
Oh, yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
Imagine if you just have one drug, basically, which gives you +1 attack, then suddenly it's a 5 energy 5 attack board clear, and another 5 to the enemy face. So yeah, he's particularly he suits the Emperor Children playstyle the best. And I still think he's good. And this is going to be a scary warlord because I think the Emperor's Children might get buffs soon. And we gotta be careful.
They do. They need to particularly focus on cards which Lord of Cathal can work with better. I know they buffed Lord of Cathal to have that +1 attack. 1 energy ability instead of a 2 energy ability, but I think they need to focus on certain cards which synergize with Lord of Cathal, what he wants to be doing. Give him like somehow more sustained, whatever it may be, right? With Lucius, he doesn't particularly need. He's in a good spot. He doesn't need any sort of buffs. I'll be frankly honest. I'm gonna put him at the bottom of A.
Fair enough.
I think he deserves it. Moving on.
Fair enough.
We have Asmodai. What do
Oh
you
my
think
god,
about
just
this
get
guy?
this shit out of my games, man. Get this warlord out of my games. It's
You want to roll some dice?
Holy hell, I really like the character in general, and I love the design and the voice acting and everything, but holy hell, can I not face 5 of these guys out of 10 of my games? And oh my god, yeah, this is...
What I hate about him more is when an opponent plays Terminators, but they get to teleport anyway. That's when it really grinds my gears, because it's like, oh yeah, you just like, oh yeah, he plays the Terminator at 4 drop, then he plays the other Terminator at 5 drop, he gets to teleport both, and then next turn he's playing a secret, which then plays into another Terminator, and it's just like, well, okay, yeah, if I could be Asmodai, but also have the power of Azrael at the same time somehow, of course he's done a win. Like, it's just one of those things, but sometimes he can also just not, you know? You can just have Terminators in the hand, and you find out later on when playing against the opponent that they play a Terminator that they clearly had in their hand the entirety of the game, which they didn't even activate teleport with. And you're just there going, oh, okay.
Even after the tons of nerfs to the Dark Angels, which I think kind of went overboard, to be honest. Again, overboard a little bit, just though.
Just a little bit. I think I agree on that. I think they could certainly focus on some other cards getting some buffs, because I particularly noticed. I particularly noticed the Deathwing were certainly good. They were very strong, but I've noticed, like, you know, like the 5 energy section in particular was if you don't look at the bikes and you don't look at the Deathwing Terminators, there's just a couple of cards there that I think is a bit weak. I think there's a couple of cards there which is not looking at, like, Terminators, the Deathwing, and the bikes again, or even the bikes that are 4 energy. There's a little bit weak there, so they certainly lack that sort of mid-game, I think, without going into Terminators, which then kind of forces you to play Azrael.
Well, in any case, let's rate this not according to the Asmodais who draw Convoke the Circle on turn 3.
Well, we'll rate it on only happening 1% of the time, and then all the other times, you know.
Objectively speaking, this is still a very good Warlord. First of all, it gets a ping. It has the best synergy with its faction's mechanic, basically, one-off, at least.
Yep.
In the late game, he's almost unbeatable, because as soon as he starts getting those
secrets,
crazy.
He's gonna get the secrets eventually. He will.
Yeah. Once, like, it gets into the overtime, you don't complain about him drawing secrets anymore, because you know he's gonna draw them. And don't forget, one of his main strengths is how much he can heal.
Yes, particularly with the apothecaries. Yes, you're right. With the apothecaries, I think it's the Rock is the card which heals for free across the board, and then you can also. What else you can? There's another one, isn't there? I swear.
I'd say he's an A-tier Warlord.
Do you reckon A? Huh.
Either A or he has to sit at top of B.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking top of B, because he can play those games where he sort of just absolutely annihilates you, but it's very inconsistent. But I think he's just a reliable doing so and so. I think the Imperial Guard can beat him down. I think the Eldar can basically beat him down. Titus can do that. Galen can definitely do that. Primus Saffiano will go for combo before then. And I think Lucius can do it as well. But I think Asmodai probably does. He can cause problems. Like it does somewhat question on when he depend on when he draws a secret and what that secret actually is. But if he gets the right secret at the right time, he will probably just win the game.
I mean, if he's lucky, nobody beats him, so that's fine.
That is true. Then we've got Azrael. Now, this is where we've got a Warlord, which I think probably got nerfed the most in that recent update. Where do you rate him now?
Well, he used to be the best Warlord,
no
obviously, in the game. But most of his tools were nerfed. I think almost all of his tools actually were nerfed. All the Terminators got nerfs.
Yes, every single Terminator's got nerfed. Actually, every single Deathwing card has received some kind of nerf. Yes. And
there's also Deadly Hunters being nerfed.
Yep. I would say, like, Deadly Hunters, you know, the 9 energy card. There was definitely cards out there which needed those nerfs. For example, the 6 energy card, that needed a nerf. I think it was fair to say the 9 energy card, but then there's other Deathwing cards which don't think were really causing that much of a problem to deserve the nerf. But
yeah, for example, the Deathwing Knight, 1/5 energy.
yeah,
I don't even see why it would got nerfed. But as for Azrael, I still think he can be okay.
oh
He
yeah,
still has his 4 energy Terminators, his late game Terminators. He still has Samael. He's still got some stuff. So I actually still like him more than Asmodai in terms of consistency. It's just that Asmodai has, I mean, like
he
you'll have
has the ability, doesn't he? He has he could be
he's
winning.
got the RNG.
He's got the ability. But I think I agree with you overall. I'm thinking he probably goes something like
Yeah,
here.
Yeah, that's good enough.
I think that's fair. Because at the end of the day, the death it's that mid game. If you're able to get past that mid game into the late game, I think Azrael does very well, particularly when you're able to get double Deathwing Knight, particularly if you're able to get a Deathwing Knight Master with teleport effect, because that's when it starts getting really crazy. You can really just do 6 damage across the board. You can make Azrael beat stick at that point, but you have to get there, and it's the ability to get there is the difficulty. Moving on, we got Belial. Oh dear, Belial. I have not been able to make this guy work at the end of the day.
Same. I tried a lot.
I'm probably the best guy to ask. He's French. Is it Jamo? Well, it's not Jamo. It's Gosh, why have I forgot his name? Anyway, there's a French YouTuber. Please, I apologize for pronouncing your name wrong, but he has done a deck on Belial, and so hence he's probably the best guy to ask. It's just that in principle he should be a good warlord. That's the weird thing. He's got a good hero power. He gets 2 armor plus 2 attack. That's just better than Gordrang's. He has a passive ability to just draw troops. That's just a good ability. Like, in principle he should be a good warlord, but the problem with this guy as he stands is that he has no synergy with the faction whatsoever.
Oh, you mean Juganon, right?
Yes, that's his name. Yes, he's done. I swear he's done a deck on him.
Yeah, I have the same issue with Belial. Honestly, he in theory should be good because he's got like the insane amount of dueling power and trading power and card draw and everything. But the worst part is he just synergizes with nothing from his faction. No synergy with relics, anti-synergy I would even say with teleport.
Yep.
And which sucks because he's supposed to be the master of the Deathwing, but still. There's not enough stuff for him to just play beat down aggro. I think if Dark Angels had more aggro potential, he could play an aggro warlord, but currently I think he's in a bad spot.
Like, yeah, they just don't have that many cards which synergize with going face. Like, the only cards they've got is Stubborn Defiance, which is like it's the one which gives him bonus attack based on the amount of opponents there's on the field, but there's no attack twice sort of thing. So making a Belial a really big stick doesn't work because you don't have that attack twice ability to punish your opponent to do a whole bunch of damage to face with. In terms of like just damage from hand effects, all you've got is like, I think it's called Grim Resolve, which is just a 2 energy deal 2 damage card, and you literally have no other damage from hand ability. And then it becomes really quite lackluster from there, apart from having a couple of stealth troops.
Yeah, so, even if you use the 4 energy card that permanently increases your attack, it's still not enough.
Because yeah, that's the thing. The problem with that card is that that's just a bad card. Like, it's 4 energy to increase your attack by 1. That's...
Yeah.
They could use that. That card you could use a buff, actually, in all honesty. So overall, you're left with this card, Warlord, which in theory is really, really good, because I think he actually trades with Lucius really well, for example, because he gets that 4 attack and then the 2 armor. So you can punch Lucius in the face and only take 1 damage back, and he does 4 damage to Lucius. So you must be able to trade with Lucius like really, really well. So he's got, in terms of just raw talent ability, he must be up there. But he just doesn't have the support to go with it.
There we go. That's the thing.
And now finally we'll end with the Tal. We're starting off with Commander Mesos.
I have 0 games with that, so I can't really rate Oasis. I'll leave it to you.
Now I do have some experience with the Tal. I do play certain Warlords with them. I haven't really played with Mesos either, in all honesty.
That's my issue. I haven't played with Omezos.
Now
I played the others.
I know that this is where we need to get BJ on the stream, because he does play with a Mesos, or at least he, when he played more regularly, he did. But to be safe, I'm gonna put in somewhere like high C. Probably behind Belial, to be honest. I know you can do some scary things with him. It's particularly what you want to do is that you want to use his talent to create drones in your hand. You don't play them straight away. You then get some cost reduction on drones and stuff using the 4 energy card, or you go for the I think it's not the Piranha. No, I think it actually is the Piranha, the one which is the vehicle is able to decrease the cost of drones, and then what you can do is you can spam a whole bunch of drones in a single turn, sort of thing, and you have that capability. And you can't do that with any other Tal Warlord because they can't generate such drones in their hand. I just don't think that is overly most powerful, and I think certain Warlords can have the answer for doing that, even though I do think it's actually quite good when it's able to pull it off. I think it can get countered. I might be being a bit harsh on Commander Mesos potentially. Maybe he does deserve B, because actually Tal are a better faction than probably most people rate them for. As overall, but I think he's
fair enough.
Doesn't belong here. Onvar.
Ooh, that's a good one.
How do you rate Onvar?
I'd say 8, because he's really good, actually. Especially after the recent buffs to the Tau.
Yep.
He's really good. This is one of the Warlords that somehow managed to slip under the radar every time. In terms of players, I mean.
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of people playing them after the Tau were nerfed. We remember Aunvar's peak. It was probably the most obnoxious Warlord we've ever had. But, yeah, he's really good. The ability to generate the Firestorms for free, the healing, the shield. Armor is probably useless ever since the nerfs, but otherwise in some situations maybe could be used. He's really good. He's really, really good. I'd even say one of the underrated ones. Maybe I've placed it.
I think Tal are underrated, to be honest. I don't often play against them, and I think I'm able to do a lot of things with the Tal, which is just undervalued. So I think this is what I was concerned about in Mesos and C. He might actually be a B tier Warlord. I just don't play against him often enough to truly know how good he can be. With Onvar, though, I think I agree with you. He actually is somewhere in this A tier. I'm not entirely sure where, but I think he is he's like similar to the Imperial Guard level.
Similar, yeah, maybe even higher than Gaz. I don't know.
I think he's above Lucius. It's you know what, maybe
I don't know.
Maybe Gaz goes here and he goes like
yeah, that could be the thing.
Yeah, probably something like that. That seems about right, actually. Yes. Now we've got Shadow Sun. Now this is the Warlord I play with the most. Shadow Sun I think is a solid Warlord. I don't imagine him being gosh, it's a bit of a weird one. It can be really bloody good, but I'm thinking,
well, she's good at aggro.
She is, yes, and that's the main way, is to play with aggro. I wouldn't even really use Shadow Sun Battlesuit. I'd leave that to Onvar with that extra health generation, and then just the problem with Onvar and playing Battlesuit is that Battlesuit really wants a consistent just Warlord outlet, like an energy dump outlet to support it. Shadow Sun does not have the energy dump outlet. It has a 1 energy ability and you can't really use it all the time, and you don't really want to use it all the time because you put it on your Warlord, for example, for extra range attack, but then you don't want to shoot anyway because you're going for battle suits and you're trying to go for late game, so you don't want to punch. So, except outside of 40 HP, it's not really the best, and at that point you might as well go for Onvar, which is the ability of gaining HP. But I think in terms of aggro capability, I'm gonna put her here for now, and I think we need to rediscuss this B tier, to be honest, because I think I want to change the order. I won't lie. We'll go through after that. But do you agree with Shadow Sun in principle?
Oh yeah. Yeah, she's good, but not as good as Onva for sure.
And Warshaper. Where does Warshaper belong?
Better than people think.
Yep.
But not as good as Shadow Sun, I would say. Because it still gets hurt from being a 30 HP Warlord.
It does.
Even though, again, it's one of the best Warlords in terms of trading. It can outduel a lot of Warlords, but that's the thing. It can't outduel the best duelists and still has lower HP.
Yep. But then it
has a nice ability.
Yes, but then it still has to punch them in the face anyway, because otherwise you're going even further behind because you're not utilizing that strike ability. So you end up in a weird place, particularly against duelists, where you have to punch them in the face, but then you to get use of the healing, but then you just also don't want to punch them in the face.
I'd put that below Mozrog, I would say.
Mozrog. Where's Mozrog? Mozrog.
Yeah.
I think that's
not worse than Gordrank. Not worse than Gordrank for sure.
I think that's pretty fair, to be honest. They're very similar. So that's the tier list done. We'll just quickly go over S tier. We agree in this order, or any?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, could you think this or no?
I don't think so.
Don't think so. No.
I don't know.
You don't think this either.
No. Swarmlord and a good Swarmlord is just too good.
Yeah, fair. Now A tier. Now, of course, I was rating this as Medjol Galen being really, really bloody good, and I can promise you, I have used a Medjol Galen to beat an Imitek before. Well, frankly honest, many wards can, but I feel fairly confident, you know. Erica, we're liking that. Primus Safriana. I just kind of want to move around some of these Eldar warlords, you know.
I'd say Jane Zar is better than Keltalk.
Fair enough. Is Jane Zar better than Zyla?
Probably.
Yeah.
And Iliac is better than Keltalk too, I think.
You reckon? Yeah, it probably is.
Yeah, it still is.
In fact, I think I had harsh to Keltalk, but I'm thinking we'll move Keltalk down a little bit. But yeah, Primus Safriana, it can still go for some scary combos. And the problem with Primus Safriana is that you don't know quite what combo it's going for. It could be the multiple troop turn in a single turn with all the pings, or it could be the stealth sort of like combo with massive melee attack damage. So it could be that's why it's rated. I rate it quite high. Does Erica belong this high in A tier?
I think so.
You reckon?
As long as she knows what she's doing, it's one of the biggest problems in the game right now. A lot of people are just complaining that they're facing Ultramarines and Sisters all the time, so...
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, it's probably just because Uriel Ventress is a really good counter versus Erica, and then Imitek is probably also a good counter versus Erica as well. I reckon, because it's got that continuous ping damage. Now, moving on to B tier, this is where I particularly do want to change something. I won't lie. I reckon Calgar is better than this.
I think so too.
I think he.
And I also.
I think we have to like move him up to the top of B tier somewhere.
I also think that we need to move Abaddon above Tervigon for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like he's just way stronger.
Nah, I think he's better than Asmodai. I do rate Orokin. So I think
he's good.
I think I'll leave him there. Azrael, I think that's fair. So and so. I mean, like I'm pretty happy with all of this, to be honest.
I think the Spider one I know that we're staying safe, but
It should, yeah, it's one of the things. It should be better in principle, right?
so maybe like yeah,
Here?
something I would say even better than Dankler. I would even say because I mean, come on, he's just
Yeah.
gonna face roll his way to victory.
Yep. So Aveline. I do quite.
Not sure.
I playing with her. I did quite like her, but it's hard to say.
And I think Dankler is a bit too high, actually.
Probably.
He, in
Yeah.
principle, is interesting, but he doesn't have enough support to be that good right now.
No, he doesn't. I think he does. He go below Gordrang?
Probably, yeah.
Probably. I think Harken's fine. Yeah, Garon, so and so, Shadow Sun. No,
I
I
also
think that's
think
fine.
Belial's a little bit too high in C.
You
He's
reckon?
really not that good. Yeah, at least has to be behind Omezos.
Yeah.
Because Omezos at least synergizes with the faction.
Yep. Yeah, I do agree with that. And then we'll put him behind Lord Solar. So and so. Just focus on this. Tervagon, of course, is massively underrated. Orokin, I think, is also underrated. Asmodai is just Asmodai. Asmodai is Asmodai. He can be
Yeah.
D and S tier at the same time. Don't question it. Morven,
because
Azrael. I think we've landed on a pretty good spot here, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean,
Anything...
who would have thought that taking the most obnoxious mechanic from HHL and slapping it on the Space Marine faction would have been a bad idea, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean the seals, basically. So.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I mean, like, I still don't like... I found seals to be alright, actually. Not as bad as secrets, to be honest. But, for some reason. Why? I don't know why. But I mean, what I found particularly painful myself was, just sabotage. Just sabotage. Oh gosh, I hated that. I remember saying to you once before the GSC got released, I was like, I think this faction could be broken. And you were like, yeah, well, because they take the free mechanics. They take the Raven Guard mechanic with a whole bunch of stealth troops. They take, like, Alpha Legion mechanic with all their sabotage. And they also took another mechanic, which are all obnoxious mechanics. So, but anyway.
Yeah, they took irresistible charisma.
Oh, yes, an irresistible charisma.
It's as if they took the most annoying things from HHL and made it a faction.
Just put it into one faction and crammed it all in. It's slightly different, of course, but even still. Anyway, I think this is pretty good overall, and I think this is pretty fair. Does anything particular we want to change about Seas here, or think this is fine?
I think it's all right. Everything else, like the viewers are going to also write. Because
Yeah,
obviously
100%.
some things are a little more objective than others because of our own experience and everything else.
Oh
so,
yeah, 100%.
You know.
But anyway, thank you very much, Kid Ecclesiarch, for joining me in this tier list ranking, and I hope you all enjoyed as well. I'll see you next time.
See you, gentlemen.